Stadium, where the University of Montana Western will be taking on the Carroll College Saints. Battle of the first game of the year, which tended to be a really good one. Jason Farris ended all things as they were looking forward to going in for the winning score. So, Carroll's going to want to be here taking care of business and winning on our home, kind of spoiling our season, so to speak. And they're going to do it with a freshman quarterback. So, battle of the freshman quarterbacks. We're going to take a quick timeout for the national anthem. So, we'll get back to you in 3 minutes. Football action here from the Vig. University of Montana Western Bulldogs taking on the Carroll College Saints. And like I said, should be a good one here. Carroll wants to come in and avenge a loss at home to start the season. And the Montana Western Bulldogs kind of a little bit in a trap game as we look ahead. You got two extremely talented football teams. They got to go into Billings and beat Rocky, go to Southern Oregon and beat Southern Oregon, the highest-ranked Frontier Conference team, and really been playing excellent football. In fact, lead the conference in offense right now. John almost averaging 300 yards passing a game. What do you think's going to give here?
Both teams, great defense. It's going to be another good defensive game. Last time these teams played, I think Montana Western had 288 yards of offense and Carroll had 287. So it was really a game of turnovers last week, and I think it's going to be the same here. It's a snowy day. Had a little snow here this morning. They got the field cleaned off. 32 degrees, a little chilly. So we'll see how that affects these young quarterbacks and how they're able to, throw the ball and get these offenses rolling. Carroll wasn't able to take advantage of turnovers last week or last time these guys played, and
I feel feel like the field's going to actually be better than it was last week because it's frozen. We had that sloppy mess over here on the left side of the field if you're going left to right on the FM dial. And the right side was the better end, and we did a good job defensively. I definitely see them running the football quite a bit, and the cold days usually help when you run the football. But looking at how the field turned out, I think you're still going to be able to pass the football, and that really favors the University of Montana Western.
Yeah, and it looked like this morning it was still snowing, and I thought maybe, you know, if it's snowing through the game, that's going to be tough to throw the ball in it. But it's definitely cleared up, and I think you're exactly right. It's going to be a good day to throw the ball, and when Jun gets a little time back there, he's shown that he's a confident passer.
Well, and the wind hasn't really picked the direction. I mean, it's went from right to left, left to right. Now it's blowing pretty heavily from right to left. And so that could be a little bit of a factor. We always like to hope for a special teams touchdown. I think we're going to get one of those. I hope to see it out of the University of Montana Western. I assume that'll happen. One of our all-world punt returners would love to see one of those guys, both crazy in my opinion, with the way they take the football. But it's so exciting to watch. So I'd love to see a punt return taken back. But this should be an electric football game. I really think Carroll wants to come in here and kind of really get back. I mean, last year we beat them here. Then we go to their building and beat them. I mean, they really want to do something, hence why they're starting the freshman, Hunter Bledsoe, out of Mission Viejo, California. And it should be interesting to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, not a bad game last week, his first start, 241 yards, 22 for 40, I think he was on the game. A couple picks, but you expect that from a young guy, and I think if you can give him time, which is tough to do against this Montana Western defense, you know, get that defense tired out, and they have weapons, you know. You got
talented stable of backs, Major Ali and Arntzen.
And not to mention Arntzen from the receiver position, and another receiver, Shane Sipes, who's been their number one guy, 6'2", 190 sophomore out of Newberry Park, California.
And the kick is off, and we'll take it around the right side. It's Trey Mounts. He's wrapped up and dropped at about the 25, where the Bulldogs will take over with their first possession of the ball game. It seems like I might be mistaken, but I think in our last 3 home wins, we've actually got the ball in the second half. So we'll see if the offense starts out right where we need it to here. We'll start from their own 24, 1st and 10. They're going to go trips to the left. Lone setback is going to be Pranty.
Carroll College wearing the all-white.
Pranty out of Elma, Washington, so he's used to the cold. No sleeves, as is a few of the receivers. And they're going to go right out and get it to Nate Simpkins. Good tackling by the Carroll College Fighting Saints as they wrap him up and drop him right as he catches it. But still going to be good for about 3 yards.
Such a sure-handed receiver, and he's always open. That's what they say about Nate Simpkins.
Good, like I said, good defense here for the Saints as well. And it looks like more of them have the little playbook on the defensive side. So they have a new game plan, it looks like, for the Bulldogs. Pranty will take it over the right side. Gets a little bit of room, keeps those legs churning. Picks up about a good 2 or 3. So it's going to be a good 3rd and manageable. And you always want to keep your football team in those manageable situations, like a 3rd and 2. Play action's still going to work at that point. You can dink and dunk, or you can go for the home run ball if you really so. I think at this point you got to go a little safe, maybe hit something in the slot, get that first down, and keep the chains moving. So we're going to go 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Tight ends lined up on the right side of the formation. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to get it right to Nate Simpkins out of the slot. He sat down in that zone read, got it out to about the 37, good for a Bulldog first down.
And it's good to see that consistent offense, or, you know, you're not going to turn it over, you get a little dink and dunk. And you can already see a few of these football players slipping in the mud, so that may become a factor later in this game.
And it's supposed to get a little bit warmer as well, so we'll see how that really plays in. Boyd Jenny out on the field, it looks like right away they want to work that tight end. We're going 3 to the right, 1 to the left, empty backfield as he'll motion Pranty back to the left side of him, and they're going to give the ball right to him, but bursting through the line was number 94 for the Carroll College defense.
Number 94, Garrett Kokab, 6'4", freshman, 270. Making the play, breaking through the line, getting that tackle. You see him, looks like he's coming from the nose position, and that's such a game changer when you have a strong defensive lineman on the nose.
That's a big fella. He looks even bigger than that on the field. I mean, he just broke through and dropped them for a loss, so it's going to be a second 11 for the Bulldogs. They're going to line up 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Prenti on the right side of the shotgun formation as John takes snap, sends his tight end in motion as Jenny will go basically to the slot, gets the football, wasn't able to handle it and get hit right away by number 21, which is going to be Parker Bernhardt.
Linebacker with some speed. Boy, Jenny, you see him a lot more at the receiver position now later in the season. At first, he was mostly playing only tight end, and I think they noticed his speed a little bit, and they want to take advantage of that.
Running down that pit, or that extra
last
point.
Week, about 80 yards ran down the return.
So Carroll also is in the top in defensive pass breakups, so you're going to see a lot of that. Maybe that's why they're doing a little more of the short stuff. They did their homework, though, as they throw it back across looking for kind of a bubble screen, and that was read great by the defensive backs. I think leading that charge once again was Parker Bernhardt, the 6'1", 205-pound junior out of Billings, Montana.
And you see Melvin Walser running off the offensive side, and this is his first week back, shoulder injury. He's been out for, I think, 3 weeks.
4th and 12, so that'll bring out the punter, Karchenko. And I believe he's going to kick the Ryan Balo. And bouncing the wrong way, but they'll take over from about the 22. 11:56 left on their Mountain Irrigation scoreboard, 0-0. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Back of the Vidge as Carroll will have their first offensive series. First give is to Major Ali. He brings it out to about the 29-yard line.
And Hunter Bledsoe, from what I've been hearing, they pulled his red shirt this year in order for him to be eligible to play. So this kid must have some talent, and they need a quarterback here at Carroll. So let's see if he can make some plays today.
Well, and as you line up on scout team, you start burning what's really a good defense. That's probably what does it. And they're going to run 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Ali as the lone setback. He'll send his tight end in motion. Chase Folsom actually is a wide receiver now, but he's definitely a blocking tight end as well. Ali's going to run the football. Looks like he's going to be close to what should be a Carroll College first down.
And he almost caught the snap. The snap was a little bit off to the right, and Ali grabbed it right out of the quarterback's hands as soon as he caught it. So ran for a good gain. Some good running backs we've seen in the Frontier Conference this year.
And they're going to actually pull that spot to where it's going to be a 3rd and a long 1. It's not quite 2, but it's close. So big 3rd and 1 for this Bulldog defense. Of course, this is where the linebackers like to eat here. And we got a good group of backers here. And Farris already threw the line, but he couldn't have got through if it wasn't for the big uglies in the front as they just gobbled him up. Big play by, who else? Conlon Smith.
And you could see they came in with the power eye, brought the fullback in, and the Western defense was bringing heat. As soon as they did that, stopped him right at the line.
Yeah, you better bring a sack lunch if you're going to want to stop Conlon Smith on a regular basis.
He's got one of the highest motors for a defensive lineman. He just keeps going and going and going all
Well,
game.
and let's face it, he can lift the house, too. That kind of helps a little bit. When you're stronger than anyone else on the field, that's kind of an asset. And they're ready to punt. And it's going to be kind of a low-line drive, a returnable kick. Is like you said, no footing. Trey Mounts does find a way to get upfield, gets across the 30 to the 31. But just like you were noticing earlier, it seems like it's slick right down the middle.
And I think if one of these returners is going to make a play today, that's going to be the one. Trey Mounts, he has the breakaway speed and kind of had a breakout game. I think 3 catches last week.
A couple of returns that were pretty decent, so he did a great job there. 9:46 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard, 0-0. We'll be back in 1 minute. Stadium, and a little bit chilly Dillon, Montana. It's about 30 degrees. The wind actually died down once again. But, I'd really like to see a little bit more of the running game.
Yeah, Pranti's so good at, even if there isn't many holes on the line, he's still going to get you about 3 yards. And I think you got to attack that and try to tire out this defensive line.
They're running kind of a 4-3. Looks like they're one safety's back, one's kind of in the box, so they're kind of staggered, if you will. And then he drops it down. Had a little bit of room to work, but slips on the field and is only able to pick up about 3 or 4. But that looked like it should have been good for 8, 9 yards. Put perfectly where he could do, but it looks like the middle of the field is going to be a little bit of a problem.
Colby Tamo making the catch, coming out of the tight end position.
And it looks like there's no traction down the middle of the field. And I haven't seen it much on this side, but the same spot we had a problem with last week looks to be the same issue here. Not so much muddy, I think it's probably just frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And as it gets torn up, it's getting worse. They're going to run it over to the left side. And it got read perfectly. It looks like it's actually going to even a tackle for loss.
Looks like Dylan Kresge, the linebacker, 6'1", 225, hometown boy out of Helena, making the play. This linebacker core out of Carroll is no joke. They've been making plays all day so far.
Well, and I thought really good play calling by Norsa. Part of the problem obviously is the field, but couldn't get any tractions on the run game, but short dink and dunk, and then, had the running game. So now he's going trips to the right, one lone setback to the left of John. He's going to take the snap, steps up, has a nice ball, puts it only where his guy can catch.
And he drops it on the fall.
Oh, my. Perfectly placed football to Boyd Jenny.
And you could see when he was on the long, he was going the over-shoulder pass, and Boyd had to switch to the other shoulder, but able to make the catch, and just when he fell, he rolled over, the ball pops out, and that's so heartbreaking when you have, a 30-yard gain.
That's a pretty football. You could tell the tight spiral up here. That's how good a spiral it was that came over the shoulder, perfectly placed.
And John had pretty good time in the pocket there, that drive on 2 pass plays.
So can Karchenko in to kick. Returner's at about the 24-yard line to receive it. Plenty of time. It's kind of an end over end, maybe even side spiraling. It's going to get all the way down to, results is where it's at, and they'll take over at the 24. This time it was Ali back the return. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Carroll with their second possession. They'll take over from their own 24-yard line. And from what we saw of the Saints, it looks like they were really having a lot of luck with the offensive line, getting a good push and running the football.
Yeah, they ran the ball well last drive. And we'll see if that traction has anything to do with that later in the game. Montana Western D-line doesn't look tired yet. Montana Western wearing the red tops with the black bottoms.
And we're going to go 2 running backs in the set. It's going to be Ryan Arnston and Major Ali. Takes snap, gives it to Ali over the left side, finds a little bit of room. Farris is able to lock him up, and then it's cleaned up by Peyton Pins, the safety coming up to fill, but not after Ali's good for about 5 yards, turned out on the ground to make it a 2nd and 5.
Big hole on the left side. This offensive line is playing well so far today, but the pursuit, that's what they talk about with this defense and how they make so many tackles, is you always got somebody coming behind you to make the play.
So they'll line up 2 to the right, 1 to the left, and in the slot is Joe Farris. Usually seems like he gets a lot of football out of that slot position. He's actually going deep on that, rolling out to the left, and Bledsoe's going to keep the football, but probably hasn't seen quite the speed of the linebackers in his other start. It was College of Idaho, if I'm not mistaken.
And he looked like he wanted to take off, but smart decision getting out of bounds, not taking a hit. I like to see that out of a young quarterback.
Got back to probably the line of scrimmage where it looks like it's going to be about a 3rd and 3. So another big 3rd down here for this Bulldog defense, as they're rotating a deeper safety. We have a deep safety over the top. We haven't really seen too much of this. It's J.D. Farris, I believe. And they're pulling the blitz on the left side, letting the backers go. Nice release as he gets it out to Farris over here on the left side and out of bounds.
halfback Janice on the tackle, and such a tough route to defend, that quick 5-10 yard out. You can throw that right off the cut. It's tough to defend.
Well, and they had him in single coverage, so you don't want to let him blow the top off, so you're giving him a little bit. And then, like you said, if he runs that cut well and he's on the same page, just too tough to defend. That's going to be good for Carroll first down from their own 36-yard line. They're going to run 2 to the right, 1 to the left, tight end on the left side of the formation. And it looks like it's going to be a keeper. Or, I mean, they'll keep it on the ground, I should say. To Major Ali. He's going to churn out 2 yards. So it'll be a 2nd and 8 from the 39-yard line.
And I think you're right about this offensive line. Ali is getting a good 3 or 4 yards every time he gets a touch, and it's because they're getting a nice push. You know, you don't hear enough praise for the line. So,
well, and when Conlon Smith is in there, they're trying to run away from him or stack it on him, and he's not in there now. But you notice they're trying to go right at or right away from him. I guess he is in there. It looks like he actually might be in there. But they're running away from him once again, and that's not going to be any good as well as they shut that down maybe on another yard or 2 gain. This time your ball carrier was Ryan Arnson out of Helena.
So you see 2 Arnston brothers, both productive on the offensive end for this Carroll team.
Both amazing high school players as well. So, big 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 from the 41. And you got them, it's not quite long. You'd love to have a 3rd or 7. We'll see if they bring the blitz once again. It looks like Farris is going to fake blitz. I think he's going to drop back into coverage, though. And he's just going to kind of spy out in the middle. He took the line. Oh, it's flicked off. Back the other way. The 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Bulldogs!
Great play from the Montana Western defender. Looks like Kyron Allen from the cornerback position. Had a good game last week
as well.
And he's been such a force in that defensive back, because in this Frontier Conference you have so many good receivers on those one-on-one plays, and there he is making a play back to the house.
Well, and they kind of ran the spy on him, had the safety over top, and really baited the freshman quarterback. Probably give him a look from film that he hadn't seen before. Kyron Allen, one of our better defenders, steps in, had a great game last week, and if it wasn't for the 2 great linebacker games, he might have been he missed the extra point. So 5:14 left here in the first quarter on the Intermountain Irrigation Scoreboard. Bulldogs lead 6-0. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Hi, this is Mike Flieger, owner of Lakeland Feed and Supply. Lakeland Feed specializes in taking the very best quality ingredients, many of them grown right here.
Watching an NFL game now with them amidst extra point.
Yeah, no kidding. That PAT has been an issue for Montana Western in the today, obviously, and last week. Was that 2 blocked?
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate when you finally have, in years past, we've always struggled with getting a decent, accurate kicker. Now all of a sudden we have a great kicker, but yet something's not right there.
And, kicking isn't quite as easy a routine as people may think. You know, there's a lot that goes in each and every time, and a lot of pressure, even on the easiest of plays. You got a holder that has to catch that snap, put it down perfectly, not to mention the kicker.
Well, and think about the poor kicker. That's the only way he can make a difference on a team is with kicks. Everyone's like, you have one job, but if he messes it up, all of a sudden you don't like that guy. I mean, it's not fair, but, what do you do? And there's the kick by Karchenko. It's going to be taken at about the 6. They'll bring it up the right side. And gets a little bit of a block there, brings it across the 25. And it looked like the return on that was Shane Sipes. So Sipes brings it out. It's going to be 5:08 left here in the first quarter on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. And it got a pretty decent favorable spot there, probably out to about the 27. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for the 27 for the Saints. I guess 26 now that it's out. So let's go 1st and 10 from the 26. And the handoff once again to Ali. They get in there, but he's shifty enough to get a little out of nothing. They closed down that left side pretty well, but then, like I said, Ali was able to still get about 3 yards on that carry to make it a 2nd and 7, maybe even 4 on the spot, so we'll call it a 2nd and 6.
And guess who on first contact, coming from that defensive line position, Conlon Smith.
And so they're going to run trips to the left, tight ends lined up over the right side, one setback to the left. It's Arnson. They're going to fake the handoff to him, then throw it out. And what a great read by the defensive back. Casado.
Tried to get a block on him, but you just can't put one receiver to block Joe Casado coming out of that kind of safety defensive back linebacker position. He just pushes the guy off and goes and makes the tackle.
Well, and Sipes returns kicks, so you know he's got to have a little bit of shift in the hips. So he's able to get out there and make an open field tackle and even make it for a loss, and that'll make a 3rd and 9 for Carroll from their own 26, 27.
And I expect them to get back to Sipes.
And it's going to be 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Major Ali is the only setback, and it's blocked at the line by Jason Farris. And you know you're going to call his name a few times.
Jason Farris on the blitz right up the middle, reads the play, uses those big, long Weapon X arms to make the play, reach up, bats it down.
From his basketball playing days.
And he's an athlete. No matter where he's playing or what he's doing, he just has one of those natural canny abilities to make plays.
What, it's NBA Live, right, that used to say, wow, what a block, right?
Yep.
I know you still play some basketball games.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Good field by the punter. He was able to get it off. And a rarity, a fair catch, but good call by him because the Bulldogs are going to have excellent field position as he gets it at about the 39. So 6-0 Bulldogs lead with 3:45 left. And I think this is where we put it all together here on the offensive side. The defensive scored. They probably already had to hear about it over here from the offense. Or they've told the offense, hey, we scored. What you got? It's 6-0. And, as a defense, let's be honest, you start putting up points, you can gamble a little bit more, it gets a little bit funner. Got to bring a few more of those blitzes. So if we can get a lead here, it's going to be an ugly day for the Saints. Blocked well, goes down. Oh, and that's
what a catch!
Nice, completely.
And there he is, Melvin Walser. The flag comes out. It looks like it's going to be defensive pass interference. We're not sure yet, but he has a man in his lap, tiptoe. Catch the ball right on the sideline. What a play from Melvin Walser. And you expect to see plays like that. He's coming back. He wants to make plays. He's been hurt. He wants to contribute for this team. And not to mention, he's coming back to a confident quarterback.
And he's got sticky fingers. He's a good pass catcher. I mean, what a weapon to have come back. You already have all these guys making plays for you. And then, we get a Walser back, darn it. I mean,
yeah, somebody you haven't even seen in film the last 3 weeks. And comes back and makes a play.
And so you go 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Walser's on the top side here. Nate Simpkins in the slot. The lone setback is going to be Pranty. The fake give to him. John's going to step back. Didn't have a lot of time. Throws it across the middle, but it's a diving attempt by Simpkins. Comes up short. So it's going to be an incomplete pass. So it'll be 2nd and 10 from about the 47-yard line of the Saints. So in good spot here for the Bulldogs. They hustle right back to the line. They put Simpkins over here on the right side to join Walser. They're going to go on the left side, and he's going to be kind of a deep out. And they're going to put McKittrick, who had a fine game last time. What do you have, about 150 receiving last game? Fantastic game for McKittrick, and they're going to dump it off. But you had said it earlier, their backers can also do some tackling as well.
Yeah, and they had McKittrick one-on-one on the left side out there. That's a design screen, but I don't expect to see him one-on-one too much. He has game-time speed.
And so we got a 3rd and a big 12. They have kind of left the middle of the field open a little bit. Look for that to be exposed later. We tend to go there, but Coach has done a pretty good job of hitting those sidelines at this point. He's going to run trips to the left, one to the right, tight end lined up on the right side, empty backfield. And so John with some time, and he's going to step out, roll out to the left, still looking to throw down the field. Somehow gets away to square up his shoulders and connects with Walker McKittrick all the way down to the Carroll 21-yard line.
And you can't give John that much time. He's sitting in the pocket, thinking about running, just on a nice slow little jog to the left, throws a nice little dime out there.
He does such a great job of when he's moving upfield, not only to look down, but still squaring up his shoulders to make it a deliverable pass for his receivers. He's going to run trips to the right, one to the left. The lone setback, which is Pranty's lined up to the left side. He looks him off and then throws it over into the slot to the right side. And, wow, he got given a double-A stick there.
It's like number 18, McBride Galt, 6'2", 205-pound senior. He's been all over the field for Carroll in his 4 years, and he's probably their best defensive back.
Mounts does a great job, though, keeping that football. Tried to make a play, turn it upfield, and just got a lick put on him. Held on to the football and make it 2nd and 5 from the 17. And they go trips to the left, one to the right. John's going to keep it up the middle, sees some room, misses the shoestring tackle, and he's going to be close to about, what, the 1-5-4?
It's the first.
He just had one more man to beat, but then got hit pretty hard going up the middle. But not really afraid of contact.
No, John has shown his toughness through the beginning of the season, taking some pretty hard hits and usually pops right back up.
1st and goal from the 5. They're going to spread them out. Trips to the right, one to the left. Pranty is lone setback. Watch for the give to the left side on this one. And that's what they do. He carved out a few yards there to give him in another favorable position. They're going to give him probably one on the spot. It looked like he had a lot more terrain he covered there, but it is going to be 1st and goal from about the 4-yard line, or 2nd and goal, I'm sorry, from about the 4-yard line. So they're once again going to do trips to the right, one to the left. The man on the island out there is McKittrick on the left side. Pranty to the right side of Jund in the shotgun formation. Everything looks single coverage though, and once again they're going to keep it, and John's going to get over the right side into the end zone. And it's always crazy when you draw it up because you saw Pranty go in. He could have drove a brand new Chevy truck through the left side there.
And John with the somersaulting dive into the end zone, showing that he can run the ball a little bit. They're locking down the run for Pranty, but if you give John spaces in that pocket, he's going to take off, and he does that right there, goes and gets himself a touchdown.
So that'll make it 12-0 with 45 seconds left here in the first quarter. Snap is good, the hold is good, the kick is up and is good. So with 45 seconds left in the first quarter on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard, Bulldogs lead 13-0. We'll be back in 1 minute. And really, it was kind of a run-pass mix. I mean,
yeah, you didn't see as much running. This Carroll defense has been locking down Pranty running the ball, and they kind of got to their hurry up there a little bit and able to move it around to a few different receivers. I'm really happy to see Melvin Walser being productive and not, lagging. Usually you see people come back with an injury and, naturally you just can't play as hard as much as you want.
Well, and how good is it when your quarterback finds room as well? That opens up a few more things. Just like you saw on the left side there, Pranty all of a sudden had a huge hole. John takes the other way, and he's athletic enough to get himself into the end zone. And you don't like to see your quarterback take that many hits, but he's a pretty gung-ho player, and he's going to do it anyway. I mean, not to spite anyone, but he's just that much competitor, so to speak. So the Bulldogs will be kicking it off deep. And Karchenko gets a little bit of leg into it. However, they're going to take it at about the 10, 11-yard line. And a little bit of hard trucking as well. Almost knocked the ball loose, but he's able to hang on to it. It's always pretty impressive, like Sipes, when they have that vice grip that, he got ripped twice and still held on. And we've done a pretty good job of really forcing the turnovers lately as well.
Yeah, and we figured coming into this game it would be the story of the turnovers. And if you're going to turn the ball over and put the other team in good field position, that's what's going to happen.
And we're already good for a pick six, so it's going to be 1st and 10. Saints will have it on the 25-yard line. They're going to give it to Ali on the ground. He's going to go right up the middle, finds a little bit of room, probably carved out about 9 on that run. Looked like he didn't have anywhere to go, but next thing you know, he's in a tunnel and comes out with 9 yards.
And he's such a slippery runner. He just puts both hands over that ball, slides right through any little gap that you can give him. And you really can't take a game off with the running backs we have.
Flags on the field, so it looks like it's probably going to be a hold. And that'll put the Saints in a bad position once again after a really nice run. And you're wondering how they got that hold? Well, it looks like a hold somewhere there in the middle. And with this linebacking core, once they get by you, I mean, it's just too hard to keep track of all of them, so you tend to grab one or the other. And there's a lot of speed out there with Casado and Farris, and really haven't had to call last week's player of the game too much, Riley Martello, yet. He's also a difference maker. They go right back to the run, and on command, there's those linebackers wrapping them up and dropping them.
Casado and Farris, such sure tacklers, and you know, they're able to roam around and make plays because this defensive line is eating up any double teams and trying to take up all those linemen.
Well, we're seeing a lot of Schulte this week as well. He's done a great job of really getting off any blocks. And that'll end the first quarter here at Vigilante Stadium. University of Montana Western with the 13-0 lead. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Seconds.
Montana and Vigilante Stadium. Carroll will now be going left to right. The wind actually is in their face now, so a good time for the Bulldogs to get them to switch it up. And Hunter Bledsoe's got a little more than he's probably seen so far, and we'll see how his maturity goes as we go on. They're doing 2 running backs in the backfield, and he actually handles a bad snap well. He's going to end up throwing, I think it's incomplete, though, as it hits the ground. And this is actually Colby Killoy.
You can see that's a broken play, just like you were talking about. Tips the snap, rolling out to the left, and there's a linebacker in his face. So when they blitz these linebackers, they're just so fast coming off the edge that's tough to make those decisions so quick and make good throws.
Doesn't give you a lot of time to think at that point. And they'll bring up a 3rd and 13. And this is where we've been blitzing for the most part, at least one of those backers. And in fact, last time I thought we brought 2. Carson Hritzko actually in there right now as well. So dropping back to pass, looks him off to the left, is going to throw it across the middle. And they found some room with Sipes. And Sipes gets across the 40 and actually puts a pretty decent move on Kyron Allen.
They were in a man coming across the middle, and Kyron Allen just gets a few steps behind him. Sipes showing off that speed, makes the catch, gets the first down.
Well, I think he was peeking in the backfield just a little too long. And, you tend to get a little bit greedy. You have a pick 6, and, I mean, you kind of want to do it again.
Yeah, you got a lead, a little feisty, you want to make another play.
So they're going to run 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Ali has the lone setback. And he takes snap, fakes the handoff to Ali. He's looking down the middle, has an open man as it slipped, and it's going to be Arnson who's finally wrapped and dropped. But it looked like the
Garrett Turner, I think
Yeah, it
is
looked
who
like
it
he
was.
slipped as he was going back
Redshirt
across the
freshman
middle.
safety. Yeah, he was, playing behind the route, and he slipped in the mud and able to get Arnston wide open over the middle. Big, chunky yards.
And all of a sudden, Carroll's in business as they have a 1st and 10 from the Bulldog 19. And those are 2 plays where it looked like the footing or however the read was bad. And they, that's part of it. You exploit the weakness.
Making the throws. Bledsoe.
That is a big wide receiver. And it gets batted down right back to him. So his incompletion turns out not to be an incompletion as he caught his own pass. But then they lost about 3 yards on it, so that'll bring up a 2nd and 13.
I didn't see it. It looked like a defensive lineman on the pat down, but making the pat down and then coming to get the tackle right after. It's a great defensive play.
Yeah, no, I thought it was 97 actually on the outside of the line there. So if I'm not mistaken, isn't that Denzel?
Denzel Moa.
And then Major Ali just getting those hard yards. I mean, he just bounces, and has that quickness as well. I mean, good, solid running back. Major Ali's a 5'8", 200-pound junior out of Gig Harbor, Washington.
And he's patient. He's able to find a hole whenever he gets the ball handed off. They're usually handing off out of gun, so you got to go find those holes and make the play, and he does it.
It was a hard-fought 2 yards, and I believe about actually, I guess it was 3rd and 13. Got about 4 out of that, so it'll be a 3rd and 9 from the 18 for Carroll. I imagine this is 4-down territory. So trip stack to the right. Ali has the lone setback. And nice stepped in front.
Sipes looks like he was trying to do the Poco route. Fakes the post, goes to the corner.
Well.
And looked like he slipped up a little bit too. And Janice, known for always being in position, gets in there and bats it down.
They are going to kick the field goal. Definitely have a lot of, and he's a freshman out of Billings, Montana, Josh Kraft.
Which school did he go to in Billings? I know you're a Billings guy.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was Billings Senior High, so he must have been a West High kid. But he's got a lot of leg there and just missed. Had plenty of leg. So it's going to be Bulldogs taking over on the missed field goal. Everything seems to be going right for the Bulldogs at this point. Carroll showing some life, though.
And Bulldogs have shown that, second half can be a lot different. So, you got to stay on your toes when you're playing a tough defensive team like Carroll.
Well, they're right back at it with trips to the left. One lone setback. And he's going to take the snap, looks it off the left. They have, like you said, Boyd Jenny was actually going down on the receiver route there. He probably got about 15 yards before he looked on the curl. That's usually not a tight end route, and it's going to be incomplete.
And it looks like they're just trying to run routes. You can see Carroll's in a zone defense, and they're trying to find the little areas in that zone that you can just find an open receiver, get about 15 yards to get the first down.
And so it's going to be one to the left, or lone setback is on the left. They're going to go one to the right. Looks like it's in single coverage. The safety isn't even really looking in. Oh, perfectly placed play. It looked like it was pretty decently placed. Boyd Jenny was unable to come up with it. They had single coverage up top on McKittrick. And you don't usually see him get single coverage.
And they've done a good job of locking him down today. I don't think he has even a target yet.
Sent him in.
One catch.
Sent him in to run a play here out of the slot. So you're running 2 to the left, 3 to the right, empty backfield. Big 3rd and 10 for this Carroll defense. So they're kind of scrambling, though, as they see the trips to the right, 2 to the left, empty backfield. Looks like they're bringing a little bit of heat. And they're going to drop back, actually. John's going to rush out, sees a big opening, and he's going to run himself for a first down, getting out of bounds and not getting hit. And good sportsmanship over there on the Carroll side as they stop him from hitting the bench. And that's one of the good things you do see in the Frontier Conference quite a bit is mostly decent sportsmanship when it comes to that. I'm sure there's a little bit of chit-chatting. I mean, that goes with
the
just about anything. But
yeah, the level of competition, you're going to have to be talking a little bit, or there's players with that personality, and John getting out there and making a play, 15 yards.
So 2 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 lone setback. And he's going to drop back passes plenty of time and really almost got picked off. And like you're saying, we don't always give a lot of love to the big uglies, as they call them up front, but they're doing a great job. He's getting excellent protection, had a lot of time to throw. The secondary is doing a good job for Carroll, really making it difficult on him more than the pass rush at all. So the linemen are doing a great job up front, really giving John time to throw the football. So they're going to run 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Looks like I didn't think it was Pranty in there. It's not. So they're going to flush it out here to Trey Mounts. Finds a little bit of real estate across the 40 to about the 42.
Nate McGree in on another play. He bats down one the play before. Next play is getting blocked. And that's a 6'2", 230-pound linebacker. That's tough for Nate Simpkins to block. Does a great job of just staying on the block. Right when the runner gets there, comes off and makes the play.
It's nice to see Dennis Thorpe back in there. I mean, it didn't seem like he got as many snaps last week, and he did a great job when given the opportunity. I'd like to see him get a few carries as well. And that's picked. He read that, and it's going to be a pick to the house for Carroll. And it's going to be a touchdown for Carroll.
Your best defensive back for the Carroll College Saints came in there. He baited him a little bit as soon as John threw it. Runs right through, interception to the house.
Was that Simpkins he was trying to go to on that play?
I think it was.
He really read it well. He sat back there, you watched him bait it, and as soon as the ball's loose, I think we both saw it up here like, oh no. And he turns it around, takes it to the house. Carroll's back in business. It's 13-6. They line up for the point after.
So 2 defensive touchdowns in this game today.
2 picked to the house even, and the decent size, and that was about 40, huh? And it's up and good. So with 10:30 left in the half on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard, it's University of Montana Western Bulldogs 13, Carroll College Saints 7. We'll be back in 1 minute. What was headed towards not quite a blowout yet, but 13 nuts, good lead. All of a sudden we got a good football game here once again. 13-7 Bulldogs lead. And then it looks like Dennis Thorpe and Mounts will be back to return.
And we thought this would be a defensive game. That it has been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Certainly, and as fans of defense, it certainly is good. Looks like I don't know if you'd call it up. I guess we got to wait till they get back on, but they've made the quarterback change, and it looked like it stuck last time. They went with the sophomore. And it's going to be Trey Mounts on the return as he goes to the right side, gets a couple of blocks. And actually, it looked like if he wouldn't have got tripped up, he had a lot more room.
And a hard hit. Looks like Trey Mounts is down, feeling his back. Maybe he has a... You know, you're taking hits like that on the run. Hopefully it's not a bad injury.
I think it might. His head might have went into a knee as well. It looked like his head got kneed as well as, got kind of clipped. So we'll take a brief one as they check on Trey Mounts. 10:26 left in the half, 13-7. Bulldogs lead. We'll be back in 1 minute. Single bump and run coverage down here on the Walser side. If he can get by this original bump, he should have a pretty open route, but they are running the football as they take it up the middle. Maybe good for a yard or two. But I don't think you're going to survive on single coverage on Walser here too much. Looks like he's going to go into the slot this time. And it'll be Simpkins on the outside looking for the single coverage. The safety's over the middle. And it looks like they're spreading the backer out to make the coverage on the slot guy. So Walser over a linebacker could be a good matchup for us as they sent Simpkins into motion to see if they're going to switch. Good play right there. Yep, got what he was looking for. Unfortunately, I see a flag fly. Simpkins is loose across the 50. Finally goes down at about the 49. But I think that's going to be on the Bulldogs. That was really good recognition by Norris, though. He sends the guy in motion to see what matchup he got, and the linebacker's not going to stay with Nate Simpkins either.
Yeah, great play design. When he came back and motioned in there, looked like Walser was on the outside after the motion, and he cut inside, and then Simpkins out. That's tough to guard if you don't have a defensive back that's really fast.
Looks like that had to have been a hold. A big loss there. Oh, it must have been a personal foul to go that far back, so probably an engaged chop block. So it's going to be 2nd and 24 after the 15-yard foul penalty. So 2nd and 24 from the Bulldog 15. They're going to go 2 to the left, 1 to the right. And they're going to send Walser in motion over to the right side. And it looks like there's going to be a timeout for the Bulldogs. So 9:23 left in the half. Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. Bulldogs still lead 13-7. We'll be back in 1 minute. Side of the formation, one lone setback. Walser goes into motion on the outside. Jones going to roll out that way, and he's almost somewhat of the same play design a little bit, just spread it out a little deeper. Simpkins is going to have a nice chunk of yardage there as he gets it all the way to, man, where do they place that? Probably back almost to the original line of scrimmage. Pretty close, so it's going to be a 3rd and a little more manageable 11 after about a 13-yard pickup on that play.
They pulled Braden Johnson that play. You see him out there running in front of John. It's good to see your big man running and blocking for you.
2 to the right, 1 to the left, lone setback. Looks like Pranty, I believe. Dansthorpe and Pranty are almost built the same, though. It's kind of tough. Brandy is open, but
he's going
Jones
long.
going to sling it. And it should be, I'm surprised not to see the flag on that play.
In and out of his hands in double coverage. Well-placed ball from John Jund. And hits him in the chest, but such a tough catch to make with, two defenders right there. And I think you're talking about the defensive back has to turn and make the play on the ball.
And one of them did, the other one didn't, so that's why it's kind of tough. And most of it was hands, too. It wasn't body. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're going to get away with that. They were in good position at that point. The questionable for me is that one turn, the other didn't. The one that didn't looked like he was the one that could have been easily the pass interferer. And the kick is a wobbler, picked up at about the 31, skips a tackler, but then runs into Weapon X, and he's going to be thrown down at about the 37. Probably not fun to get the Jason Farris bear hug, is it?
No, you were talking about it last week. You really don't see some defense's best player coming down and making a play in a special teams play, but Jason Farris can do it all. That's why he is Weapon X.
It's going to be a penalty on Helena Capital. Oh, look at me. On Helena, Carroll College. So that'll hurt the return a little bit there.
There's probably a few Capital kids on this team.
Very competitive in the state of Montana, as Helena typically.
And it sounds like there's going to be another high school in Helena, too, in East Helena.
That's close to your stomping grounds, actually.
Not too far.
And it's a run to the right, and the front line just did a really good job of really not letting them open up any of the running lanes for Ryan Arntzen. I mean, he got one out of it, but they just did a great job of clogging up front there and letting the linebackers. And I'm sure Farris and the rest of these linebackers will tell you it's sure nice to have the guys eating space up front and making their jobs easier to really live clean, so to speak.
Yeah.
They kind of have Martello on the line more this week, it looks like.
Right on the end.
They let him flow a little bit more in that linebacking spot, but he's looking to blitz more this time, and they flip it out, and that's just snuffed out by Farris quickly. I mean, you already have a great player with great athletic ability, but that was all film study. I mean, he just read it so quickly. Instincts are one thing, but that's just preparation right there.
Yeah.
He snuffed that out, sat him down. Now it's a 3rd and 9.
I don't think that, people watching, when you see a football game, you don't really realize the time that's put in, that these players put in. They're watching film every single day, every practice, they watch their film. And you can see Jason Farris is intently watching his.
We're running like a 3-5, but we're doing a little bit of blitzing, and he's got a little bit of an opening, but it looked like he overthrew it. He did have an open man as Kieran Allen kind of lost Shane Sipes for a minute there. Nice to have that kind of closing speed, though, as he gets back in his way. But Sipes had it over the shoulder but had to turn the other way, and by that time it was too late. The ball hits the ground, and Carroll's going to have to punt. And once again, just not surprised at how good this defense is. I mean, just when you think they're going to have a bad or a day off, it just doesn't happen.
No, they're just so consistent, and they're experienced, too. You got multiple seniors in the linebacker and defensive line.
Ooh, almost got to the football. Doesn't get off a very good punt, and then takes a Bulldog bounce back across the 50 where the Bulldogs will take it over the 49. So they'll be in Carroll College territory to start, but started with kind of a bad snap, had to shift over to the other side, and then really getting in there was Phoenix Ruffin. Got good push on the left side, almost got a hand on it, forced him to kick it a little earlier. Then it was a wobbler, and then it takes a Western bounce back, and then here we are taking over 1st and 10 from the 49 of the Saints. 6:54 left in the half, and so we're going to run kind of a tight formation, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, one lone setback.
And it looks like Trey Mounts is back in at the receiver position.
Good to see. And then he's going to throw an out over here to, I believe it was number 10, Walser again. It's good to see him getting involved because such a weapon.
Yeah, 6'3", Melvin Walser, and he can jump. He's got good hands.
Last year's leading receiver. going to be a first down, 1st and 10 Bulldogs. They have it now at the 39-yard line. They're going to run trips to the right, one to the left. Walser's down here on the island on the left side. He looks to Walser's side and goes to Walser. Gets up in the air, but just a little bit too high. Really good coverage out here.
Zaza King, 190-pound junior, and he was just a pest that play on Walser, hitting his hands all over him. And within 5 yards, you can hit him with those hands.
And then stayed with him as well, like you were saying. Did a good job in the coverage there. Trips to the right, one to the left. It's a good spot here to run with the slot. Looks like the safety's going over the top as he's taking the inside as he pats his inside. And so he's going to get a steady dose of run. Well, looked like there was a little bit of room there finally for Prantty on the outside, but they went with the keeper instead, and he maybe got a yard.
Yeah, it looks like he lost his footing trying to go up the middle. And we're getting back into that area where you could tell it's just a lot more muddy. The field's torn up.
They're putting the safety over top over here on the left side, so that's a one-on-one up top. So you have something on the outside. We'll see how that pans out. He's able to break coverage, turns it inside, Jun to the outside, throws a dart, and it's diving interception.
What an interception. Number 2, Ryan Belu, 5'11", 185. And, you know, you thought Jun put that in a spot where nobody could catch it. His receiver was diving to catch it. And
it was an amazing play.
The defensive back just completely all out. Dove, interception, what a play.
Unfortunately, that was one of those plays that kind of favored that. He had an inside shade on that coverage, so as he went down, instead of breaking it outside, they had a curl that broke inside. He kept that inside shade and just stepped in front with the dive instead of breaking to the outside. Just sometimes your scheme works better than the other coach. So it's going to be 1st and 10. They'll take over at about the 29-yard line. They're going to go back to Major Ali. He actually gets by Farris on that, but then it's cleaned up by the secondary and make a nice play there. I think Garrett Turner finally finished him off. But once again, the line pretty active. They've been grabbing legs and really making it more difficult. Looked like he had a little bit more room there and ended up with only 2, and I think that had a lot to do with the defensive line. In fact, that push I thought was by Lasco. Got a good push up the field on that.
Senior out of Bozeman, Montana, Wyatt Laxo.
So they're going to go trips to the left, and they're going to do an out to Arnson. Arnson's going to get by the first would-be tacklers. Finally forced out of bounds. Once again, linebacker getting over there. And that time it was just covering some terrain.
Casado trying to make the play. Was looking for a holding call, but the wide receiver able to get a block on him that play.
I think Martello was the one that finally got the force out. So that'll bring up a 3rd and 7. 3rd and 7 for Carroll.
And we'll see how...
This is usually Sipes territory, right? I mean, that seems to be. So they're going to run 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Ali has Dillon set back to the right side of the quarterback. The fake is to Ali. They get a little bit of push. It looks like a hold here on Casado.
He's going to take off. And great block from number 84. They might have
just enough for a first, but I don't know how they missed that hold. It was pretty obvious they were all alone on the backside there. Nothing's called, and it's going to be a first down by Carroll, but there's definitely a pinned. It was inside, but as he left, he was still holding. Usually that's a call. But 4:01 left, and the clock, he didn't get out of bounds, so it's still running. 13-7, Western leads. And really, Carroll doing a great job considering at this point it seems like Western's kind of outplayed them other than the 2 turnovers, which has hurt quite a bit. 1 for a touchdown, and then that pick there hurt as well. So it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
And it looks like there were some hands, had a little pressure. He stayed in the pocket. And Killoy has really played pretty well. Colby Killoy coming at the quarterback position to replace the freshman. And he's had a few throws that he could have hit, but, you know, with this defense, it's so tough.
And only a sophomore, so more youth there as well. So he'll come back into the huddle. And really has taken over the spot, at least ever since about midway through the first quarter. So they'll run 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Ollie is the lone setback, tight end on the left side of the formation. They'll run that way. Nowhere to go as, once again, that defensive line doing a great job up front, really getting a good push.
Daniel Musso in on the tackle.
Yeah, they've done a really great job of standing them up and making them not be able to go too many places. Conlon, Lasco, Musso, really doing a great job up front there. And so it's a big 3rd and 9 for the Carroll College Saints. They'll have it at the 41-yard line. 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Ollie lined up to the left side of the quarterback. Dropping back to pass, looks at the left side, finally runs out of time, steps up in the pocket. He's going to run again.
The ball's out.
And he did have enough for the first down.
Picks it up.
And that's why you don't like your quarterback to run sometimes. I mean, they're making plays, and he made a big one there. He got the first down before it finally gets punched out. And
Garrett Buck on the fumble recovery. I didn't see who made the tackle initially.
Yeah, it came from that top side, so it was kind of tough to see who got it.
He did, and that quarterback, he's been making plays on 3rd down. He got the last first down on 3rd, and probably would have had another one if he would have held on to that ball.
So 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs on their own 46-yard line. Still have a couple of timeouts left and 2:49 on the clock, so some time. Pranti's going to run the football. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage if he was lucky. So it's going to be a 2nd and I guess we'll call it 10. It's almost a 10.5.
We were talking about Capital earlier. There's a Capital alumni, Colin Sassano, 6-foot redshirt freshman, 200 pounds, coming up and making a play. And they've really stopped the run today, Carroll defense.
2 to the left, 1 to the right. Tight ends on the left side of the formation. One setback is Pranti. And John will take the snap, fakes the handoff, rolls out to the left. Looking downfield, he's got Simpkins. And it gets over the defender, well placed, but Simpkins unable to come up with it on the dive.
And it hit Simpkins' hands. Looked like it was probably going to be out of bounds. John does a great job when he's throwing down the sideline those long balls. He can throw back shoulder, but he always puts it somewhere where the defensive player cannot make a play.
That was a well-thrown pass. And like I said, it might have been out of bounds, but only his guy was going to get it. So you can run 2 to the left, 1 to the right, 2 to the right. And it's going to be Pranti as your lone setback. They're rolling a deep safety. Looks like he's got the inner hash. He's looking down, steps up. They go across the middle. And it was a well-thrown ball, just even better defense as he tries to go to Walser.
And that's King again, 6'1" cornerback out of Hidden Valley, California. He's been making plays, and he's had the task of guarding Walser pretty much all day.
And so the Bulldogs will punt again. So 2:06 left in the half on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. 13-7. The Bulldogs will be punting away. And 3 timeouts left for Carroll. So the snap and the kick. And it's a low-level spiral. It'll hit the ground. He'll pick it up at about the 10. And he makes the first guy miss. Gets a couple more yards before he's forced out of bounds. And that's where they'll take over. 1:56 left. Bulldogs lead 13-7. We'll be back in 30 seconds. TV timeout, so we'll join them. 13-7, Bulldogs lead. We'll be back in 1 minute. to about the 19, maybe even 20. Probably good for about 5 yards, so it'll be a 2nd and 5. Is this kind of the rope-a-dope, run it a few times and then throw it down the field, or do you think they're just kind of, let's get into halftime, we'll get the ball in the second half?
Well, it looks like they might just hand the ball off, but if you could get a score right now with this Carroll offense, it could really help your team coming into the second half.
This receiver down here, 88, he's a big fella.
They're going to hand it off again right
Chase
up the middle.
Foss, 6'4", 215 out of Glasgow. I think it's a good chunk, good for a Carroll first down as they get it to the 30. 1:11 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard.
Big hole on the right side for Arnston, and Arnston's done a great job coming in and backing up Ali and providing another push from the running back position.
And it looks like they're going to just be okay with whatever comes out of this. Otherwise, you haven't even used your 3 timeouts. You're running the football. You're going to run it. No, fakes the handoff, taken down the field. And, Kieran Allen fell down, so all alone was Sipes, and in and out of his hands, incomplete.
Rare play for Sipes. You haven't seen him had a drop today yet, but that was a perfect play for them to be able to catch it on the sideline, step out of bounds, stop the clock. Fortunately, they stopped it without the gaining of the yards.
And, it would have been good for them because he could have turned that in because Kieran Allen fell down and was more towards the sideline. So if he caught that on that shoulder, he could have turned it in, probably carved out another 20 yards, and then you start using those timeouts for sure.
Mm-hmm.
2 to the right, 1 to the left, 2 running backs in there in position. And they'll roll out to the left, almost lost his footing as well. Throws to the sideline. I think they're going to call it a catch. It'll be good for another Carroll first down. Let's see if they roll the clock. I think he got out of bounds. It looked to us like he got out of bounds.
Mm-hmm. Making the catch right on the sideline, so you would assume that they call that out of bounds.
So it's going to be about 37 seconds left in the half. Carroll still with 3 timeouts. And the clock's not moving, so he definitely got out at that point. Ball's on the 41-yard line. And on the Carroll 41.
Keep your eye on Shane Sipes. They're probably going to be looking at him.
2 to the right, 1 to the left. And they're going to bring the blitz from Casado, and it looks like it's going to be a false start by Carroll College.
You weren't wrong looking at number 88, Chase Fossum, 6'5", 215 out of Glasgow, Montana. He's got the height on the edge, and they're probably going to try to get a long ball to him before the end of the half.
Well, and he hasn't been missing weight room workouts either. He looks more built like a tight end, but he seems to be running really well. So, I mean, that's always nice to have that as a weapon. Looked like he could do well in a jump ball situation, I guess, is what we're getting at.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Arnston has the lone setback. Dropping back past plenty of time. Steps up in the pocket, throws it across the middle. That's going to be good for about 5 to 6. And he's going to hit number 84. I think that's Tony Collins' first catch of the afternoon, the freshman out of Fort Worth, Texas. And they're going to call a timeout. So 26 seconds left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. 2nd and 6. Carroll's going to, like I said, call a timeout. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. Want to throw either something across the middle, use your 2 timeouts, or at least you got to get a chunk play here a little bit. I mean, you got it on the 45, you still have 55 yards to go in 26 seconds, and the next 2 plays you're going to need a chunk play.
Yeah, if you want to get into field goal range, at least you got to get a lot of yards here on these next 2 plays.
And a field goal is what you desire. You want a chunk play, a timeout, then try to get another one, at least through the middle of the field. At least there's a little better footing on the right side here. than there is back here. They're right in the heart of Slipville. Then he's dropping back to pass, and he's going to throw it deep, but it underthrown.
And it looks like it hit both. It was Janice there on the coverage. He was right there in his lap, and they both had their hands on it. It was in Janice's hand for a second, and then as they were wrestling for it, he just ripped it out, hits the ground.
There was so much contact there. It looked like they were dancing. I mean, it was a slow
It was like a
dance over
blockout
there.
drill for a basketball game.
You could have called it on either of them pass interference, but yet they let them play, which is, if that's the precedent, great. Let them do it. But, yeah, it looked like Janice almost had a pick, but somehow got knocked away, I think, by the receiver. And so it's going to be 3rd and 6 from the 45. They're going to give it to Ali, looking to just get it.
Big hit.
Oh, Casado.
Oh, Casado coming off the edge, lowering that shoulder, putting it right in Ali's stomach.
Textbook tackle right there. And the Bulldogs are going to let it tick away as well, and that's going to end the half. So after one half of play on the Intermountain Irrigation Scoreboard, University of Montana Western 13, Carroll College Saints 7. We'll be back in 4 minutes for the Papa T's halftime show. We'll be back in 4 minutes. How awesome is this in Pink Zone? We got a good football game going on. We want to thank you all for tuning into the Pink Zone game. We're honored to count so many cancer survivors as members of the Bulldog family. And this certainly helps every time of year when this happens as well. So thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Papa T's halftime show. Papa T's, home of the world-famous taco pizza. Do you get taco pizza too often?
I actually had some last night.
It's fantastic. It's hard to beat. Throw a little ranch and salsa on top there.
Oh, yeah. Doritos, best chips around.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. So the Bulldogs, 13-7. It seemed like we, it really did. If you're watching the game, it looks like we dominated. But here we are, 13-7. I mean, Carroll had 7 points. They had 7 first downs. They're 18-71 rushing the ball. And you think of this great Western defense, but Carroll's played great defense as well. And it shows right here on the stats. Just 81 passing yards net. Carroll was 9-17 throwing the football with the 1 pick. 35 for 152 on the offensive plays, so we've held them to 150 yards. There were 2 punt returns for 11 yards, 2 kickoff returns for 29 yards, 2 interceptions returned for 45, one of those to the house, 3 for 34 on the punting average. Fumbles, they fumbled once and lost it, and that was on a first down run. And then penalties, 4 for 40, and then they've kept the ball for 11 minutes and 26 seconds. So Carroll really doing a good job of holding on to the football. For the University of Montana Western, they had 13 first downs, or 13 points to go with 6 first downs. There were 10 rushes for just 36 yards, or a 3.6 average. There was a 72 yards of passing, and there were 10 of 22 with 2 picks, and just 108 total yards of offense. So Carroll is out defensive than the defensive maestros at this point. There's 1 punt return for 7 yards. There was 2 kickoff returns for 38 yards. It was 1 interception return for 45 yards and a touchdown. And then 4 punts with a 41.5 average and 1 penalty for 15 yards. Bulldogs just had it for 7 minutes. What do you have for individual stats, Sage?
For rushing, for Carroll College, Major Ali had 12 carries for 35 yards, 5 yards being his longest. Colby Killaway, coming in at quarterback, has 2 for 20. Ryan Arnston has 3 for 14, and Hunter Bledsoe, 1 carry for 2 yards. Passing, Killaway has 8 completions on 15 attempts, 74 yards. He's played well coming in as the backup. Hunter Bledsoe had 1 completion on 2 attempts and 1 interception thrown. As for the receivers, Joe Farris has 4 carries, 19 yards, 2 catches for Shane Sipes for 19 yards, 1 catch for Troy Arnston for 37 yards, and Tony Collins has 1 for 9. Punting has been Matt Keck, 3 punts for 103 yards, 34.3 average, 44 being his longest, and the punt returners have been Brian Fauntleroy with 1 for 7 and Ryan Bellew with 1 for 4. Kick returners, Shane Sipes, 2 for 29 for him. And on defense, they've been locking down run and pass. Dylan Kresge has 5 total tackles. Garrett Kokab, coming off the defensive line, you've seen him a lot, don't say his name enough. 4 tackles for him. Nate McGree with 4 and Rex Irby with 3. For Montana Western, rushing the ball, John Junn has 4 carries for 33 yards, 1 touchdown, 16 being his longest. Nolan Donisthorpe has 1 for 2, and Kyler Prancy just 5 carries for 1 yard. They have really been shutting down that run game. And passing, all Jund, 10 completions on 22 attempts, 2 interceptions, 72 yards passing. His receivers have been Nate Simpkins with 3 catches for 23, Walker McKittrick 2 for 26, Trey Mounts has 2 catches for 10 yards, and Melvin Walser coming back off the injury, 1 catch for 10 yards. Punting the ball has been Mark Kurchenko, 4 punts, 166 yards, 44 being his longest, one of those inside the 20. Trey Mounts, the punt returner, has 1 for 7. He's also the main kick returner. Got a little banged up on one of those, but glad to see he's back in the game doing good. He has 2 kick returns for 38 yards. And on the defensive side for Montana Western, the defensive powerhouse, Jason Farris, 8 tackles for him. Joe Casado has 6, 1 tackle for loss right there before the half, coming off the edge, hard hit. Peyton Pins, the young safety, with 5 tackles, and Riley Martello, previously Defensive Player of the Week, has 4 tackles already in the first half. Great defensive half from both sides. You really haven't been able to run the ball hardly at all in this game, and the passing has been almost just as difficult. You see a lot of pat downs and already a couple interceptions. 2 for Carroll and 1 for Montana Western.
Usually you have a pretty good idea about halftime who's like neck and neck for the Dairy Queen players, offense and defense of the game. I mean, right now the front runner for defense of the game is semi-obvious. I mean, I think Joe's in there as well, and then you have a pick to the house we got to account for. But offensively, I don't even know who to give it on either team, really. I mean, if you looked at it, I mean, Sipes has to be the best guy so far
Sipes
qualified.
is definitely the go-to receiver, and Ali has really been running the ball well. I thought it's productive. He hasn't really had a lot of openings, but he's just a patient runner and somehow is able to find, a little 5, 6, 7-yard spurts.
Well, and Jones 10 to 22 passing with 2 picks. I mean, he has 4 carries for 33 yards. But, that's not setting the world on fire at that point. Like you were saying earlier, we can't run the football. We have 10 carries for 36 yards. So even total offense-wise, it's not working out too well for us as well. So something's got to give. I'd like to see a little bit more play design here in the second half. But Coach tends to make some pretty good.
Yeah, I really thought that Montana Western offense actually looked good in the second quarter. They were, switching up their routes. You could see they were going to the sideline a little bit. They even went to the middle a few times, and they've been getting to the short route. So there's been a lot of versatility in the pass game for Montana Western, which you haven't really seen that much this season. So that gives me confidence, and we can move the ball because we have a few more options. But the way that Carroll threw the ball there at the end of the half, too, this new quarterback, Killoy, he's been playing really well. I think that was a good substitution on the coaching side.
Well, I believe he started the year and then lost his job, and then now he's back to retake it. But they only let Bledsoe do the 1 for 2 through that pick, and then boom, he had the quick hook. It's still, I know we're not running the football really well, but just like last week, it really turns into good things for us. Really like to see a little bit more in the second half of Danisthorpe and Prantey. No, we haven't really been able to move it up in there, but with 2 of those keepers, I saw a little bit of an open lane there. It's easy to say when you don't have the football, but at the same time, you got to keep them honest a little bit. 10 to 22 is not getting it done throwing either.
No, it's not. And, I think Montana Western, they're the fourth quarter offensive team. They have been all year. And, there's something to attribute to that is you get a defense tired, a defensive line tired, they're not going to give you near as much pressure and you can make plays. And that's happened a few of these games.
Well, and we'll start on defense when we get back. We'll take a quick break here, and then we'll get you back and start getting you geared up for the second half. We'll be back in 4 minutes. from the Vidge here. I don't know. Do you think there's going to be a little bit more offense? I mean, we're looking at, 260 total yards of offense, right? I mean...
Yeah, one of these offenses either has to catch fire or a defensive team makes a mistake. You'd expect to see
2 picks to the house.
Yeah, a couple more big plays, and maybe they'll be on the defensive end. Some more pick sixes. I mean, those are always fun to watch.
Yeah, no, and, at this point, the Western defense has played fantastic. A couple extra turnovers on both sides of things. Like you said, it seemed like the offense was moving a little better for Carroll once Colby Galoy steps in. He seemed to have a little better grasp of what was going on there and moving the football. But it's either going to take a couple things. I think this is going to be a field goal in this game, personally. It just has that feel to it. But I think a big play is going to be made in the special teams area. We've already got the big play out of the defense. The offenses just don't seem to be on the same page. A couple different things against them. One, the field looks like it's still pretty slick down the middle. Two, both defenses are lights out. And then, of course, three, the last time they met, they were a good matchup then, and now they have that much more film on each other.
Yeah, it came down to
a good matchup again.
Carroll probably should have won the first game. They had good field position and threw it in the end zone, but unfortunately threw an interception for them. So, that game was not far from the field goal. It was that close. If they got that touchdown, they win. So this could come down to a game-winning drive, touchdown, or field goal.
Well, and Carroll gets the ball to start. So the good question here is, do you have over or under with Farris getting 15 tackles? He has 8 right now.
15. I would say he could probably get
over or under
15. I'm going to say over.
I'm going with the over as well. I mean, the only thing that might change is if they just run it away from him. But what they've done well is it looks like they're lining them up opposite of Conlon Smith. So they don't seem to want to run to Conlon's side right now. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really matter where Farris plays. He kind of plays a little bit everywhere.
Yeah,
and he's got a couple of other studs back there helping him as well.
Yeah, Kyle Schulte and Caseta, the way he's playing today. But I expect Carroll to come out, the way they threw the ball there right before the half. They're probably going to try to get back to that and get this offense rolling. And, Jason Farris is always there making plays.
Well, I think they did a good job of running the ball enough to where their play action could work at some point here pretty well as well. So look for that to be kind of a thing, too. We're going to take another quick breather. We'll be back in a minute to really set you up for the second half of football. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Devers Excavation and Aquatics is a community member and a proud sports sponsor for the Dillon Beavers and the Western Bulldogs. They specialize in fisheries, stream restoration, waterfowl development, and all types of habitat-free construction with the knowledge and expertise you demand. With Devers Excavation and Aquatics, you can count on quality professional service. Devers Excavation and Aquatics. Let us help you be part of something great. 6
Really look forward to a fine finish here. I mean, I guess overall as fans, we'd love to see them just kind of take the reins and take the blowout. But as a fan, you're also like, would love to see a game that really came down to that fourth quarter. And like you were saying earlier, we are a team of fourth quarter finishes.
Yeah, and you hope to see some more of that same fire today, the way that they've been playing in the fourth quarter. I think they're outscoring opponents 71-7 in the fourth quarter, Montana Western.
Crazy. Well, and we'll kick. Bulldogs be going right to left on your dial. And it's a kick all the way back, and he lost it. He'll pick it up in the end zone.
And he tipped the ball, but it rolled back into the end zone.
I was almost lucky. If it would have been on the one, he wouldn't have been in a bad spot.
That confused me there. I thought if you touched it, you couldn't go back into the end zone. But
the ball itself took it into the. I mean, so they're going to give him the touchback on that.
And it looks like we got a little bit of a flurry coming in. It's just kind of a little snow coming down, the wind picking up. Could get cold here in the second half.
And the wind is in the face of the Carroll College Saints. They're running trips to the right. Ali is the lone setback. The give is to Ali. He's going to bounce it out to the left side. Swallowed up by Farris at about the 30. And also Schulte in on that tackle. So it's going to be a 2nd and 6. Got 4 about on that carry. We'll call it a 2nd and 6 from the 29-yard line for Carroll. They're going to run 2 to the right, 2 to the left. One lone setback is Ali to the right of the formation. And dropping back to pass, looking it over the middle, stepping up in the pocket, and he's going to run with it. Slides just past the first down marker, I believe. No, they're not going to give him where the slide started, so it's actually going to be a 3rd down and at least 1.
Killer doing a great job getting out of that pocket and getting first downs. He showed that he can gain some yards with his feet.
You're almost at a point where you got to put a spy on him a little bit on 3rd down because he's going to, or on 2nd, anything long, he's going to take a look at running the football. And then you have 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Tight ends on the right side of the formation. They're going to send a man in motion into the slot. The give is to Ali. Ali's going to get stacked and dropped short of the first down. And so it's going to be a 4th down. Once again, this Bulldog defense coming up with a big play.
Bulldog defense has really done a great job on 3rd down. Those short run plays, they've been able to stop those.
Is he going to go for this? No. Looked like he almost faked at first, like he was going to do something.
Thought about going for it, but then decided to bring the punt team out. And you're starting to see a little bit of that mud covering up these all-white Carroll jerseys. I have to say I'm a fan of the all-white with the the gold helmet for Carroll. And
Devin Christian finally making his way back into the football game as a returner. Bad snap, good catch, and it's kind of a line drive punt. And they're just going to let it go, but they're going to say it's a roughing the kicker.
And kicker gets up limping, number 25.
Oh, he's hurt.
Matt Keck. It's too bad. You never want to see that. And he's had a two bad snaps today that he's been able to get his hand on.
Special teamer Sean Cooney. It looks like he's hurt. I mean, he can't put any weight on it over there on the sideline. And so Carroll will keep the football on the roughing the kicker.
That's a tough penalty to get there. Trying to make a hustle play, and I didn't see the hit on the kicker, actually.
I didn't. I saw the line drive kick and then looked back, and he looked pretty hurt. And then Cooney trying to explain himself to the official, and he's hurt. I mean, he cannot put any weight on that leg, and they're kind of looking him over now. Hopefully it's nothing serious. And, of course, it's tough on his end, too. It was a bad snap, barely had time. Probably was already in motion and stepped right into him. And Cootie is a great asset on the special team, so it's certainly nothing meant to fault. Slipping again. Almost stepped in front, but somehow found his receiver.
And Riley Martello tried to step right in front of the receiver and pat it down, but he just threw it right to the backside of the receiver, maybe right on his hip there. Able to make the catch somehow. Nice little on-the-run throw.
And then, of course, the big fellow we talked about earlier finally got his first catch of the ball game, Chase Fossum. So it's going to be 1st and 10 Carrolls. They're on the move after the penalty. Kind of re-energized this offense for Carroll. They're going to run trips to the left. Tight ends lined on the right side of the formation. Arnston has the lone setback to the right side of Kaloy. And he gives the ball to him. He goes from left and then cuts it back up to the right side. Conlon Smith and Riley Martello on the tackle.
And Eric Dawson wasn't able to play first half because of a targeting call from last week. And you can see number 48, the tight end, all conference, coming back in. So I expect to see them to look his direction.
So you're going to run trips to the left. Tight end Dawson lined up to the right side of the formation. And he does a good job of really slipping outside, get a good block, and then slips out. But he's going to go right down the seam. And they're going to dink and dunk. I think that's going to be called for a catch.
Yeah, great throw over
Trey
the middle.
Arnston
Troy Armstrong, sure-handed receiver, very quick. And this quarterback's doing a great job of throwing on the run right now.
So Carroll has it at the 36-yard line. It's going to be 1st and 10.
You could see Joe Farris. He was standing out in the field, just jumping as high as he could to try to bat off that mud off his feet.
And you could tell, I mean, it didn't look as bad, but now it's starting to look pretty chewed up again.
Yeah, it's just kind of a gooey. It's not really muddy.
2 to the left. Tight end on the right side of the formation. They're going to run the ball with Ali. No running room, really. Keeping those legs churning maybe to get an extra yard out of it. But he's definitely going to only get about 1, maybe 2 at the most. That'll bring up a 2nd and 8 from the 34-yard line. Yeah, I'm with you. I know that tight end's going to get the football. Eric Dawson soon. He does really a good job. Actually, he's one of those guys that can block and catch, and that's getting rarer and rarer in that tight end position.
Mm-hmm.
Usually carry 2 because 1 blocks and 1 catches. And he does a great job here. And look for him to get the football. He's actually the lead blocker for Ali there. Ali finding some room and really getting up across the 30. And they'll bring up a 3rd and a manageable, probably 3, depending on what they get for a spot here. About 3rd and 3 after the spot.
3rd and 3. Bulldogs defense has been locked down on 3rd and short. Let's see if they can do it again.
From about the 28-yard line, probably 4 down territory. I don't know. They kicked last time. They had some confidence in the kicker. Unfortunately missed, but I mean it does show that you have some confidence. Slipping out of it, rolling on, rotate right, and then he's going to go back across and throws it to number 5, which is going to be Joe Farris. It should be good for another Saint 1st down.
He's making tough throws with these short passes. I mean, they're so close to being tipped by this Bulldog
And it seems
defense.
like he's slipping, but somehow keeping his composure, which is almost as impressive too.
Sometimes with a young quarterback, all you need is a little bit of confidence and they can start making plays, and that's what it looks like right now for Killoy.
Trips to the left. Ali lined up to the right side. And he's going to step up in the pocket looking to run again. And actually just bowls his way in this. Wasn't giving himself up at all. He gets it all the way down to, what's about 15.
And good blocking from the Carroll College offensive line there. He had a pocket and had time to just sit in that pocket and then decide to leak out and get some yardage.
So it's going to be about a 2nd and 5 for Carroll. Since the do-over, so to speak, this poor defense has been out there quite a bit. We have 8:29 left in the 3rd quarter, and it's been all Carroll after the penalty. So we haven't seen the Bulldog offense here in the 2nd half. And they're going to keep it. And once again, Conlon Smith making a nice play there. Conlon Smith on the wrap up and tackle. Maybe got a yard out of it. Bring up a 3rd and let's call it 3.5.
When we hear players talk about Conlon Smith, they say he has great hips. He's so good at moving his feet and getting through just the tightest little holes and using his hips to move his body. And it's kind of a lost art that most people don't understand or see that often.
3rd and 4 from about the 15. As Carroll's going to come out with 2 to the right, tight end on the right side of the formation, Ali to the right side. Look for Ali to get the ball following the tight end because I think they're going to go for it on 4th anyway. And he follows the tight end, but he's wrapped up quickly and dropped. They read that nicely.
Riley Martello on the tackle.
And really the big uglies up front did a great job once again of really getting the push, keeping those linebackers clean so they could make a play. And it was number 97 with the biggest push up front there.
And they've been on the field since half. And
you're familiar with that young man out of Billings, Montana, right?
I am. A roommate of mine. Great
Made
guy.
a great push up front, though. He did a great job of really, you know, unfortunately you have to give your body up a lot of times to those D linemen to make sure someone else gets the glory. But I can bet you those linebackers take care of them when they get a chance. Big 4th down here. He's going to roll out looking to throw. And he perfectly placed throw in coverage. And it's going to be a big first down for the Saints. I think that was Shane Sipes, who seems to be the go-to guy in pressure situations.
And,
so it's going to be a first down for the Saints, 1st and goal from about the 8.
That third down is a dagger for the Bulldog defense. Kilroy has been using his feet pretty much this whole drive to give him openings. And I think when he rolls out, you're thinking he might take off, gives you a little hesitation, and then throws it right over you.
Really their best offensive set. It looks like the quarterback's lined up here. It's in the Wildcat then. Dawson's going to keep it in the Wildcat, and he's going to rush for maybe a good yard.
And you can see that he's a big part of this offense. They've, made a point to have him involved on almost all of these offensive plays, whether it's blocking, running routes, or right there, coming off the quarterback position.
Probably picked up 2, maybe we'll call it 2nd and goal from about the 7. Maybe a yard. So they're going to go back with the traditional offense. 2 to the left, 2 to the right. Ali is lone setback. Look for the tight end in the slot on the left side, and he's going to fade out, and they're going to go to him, and he throws it a little too high. He had Farris underneath and the safety over top. Good call defensively by Coach Good. But I think we're in 4-down territory again. You got to stop them 2 more times here, 3rd and goal from the 7.
Yeah, their field goal kicker missed one in the first half. I think you're right about that. You're this close. You're inside the 10. You got to go for it.
Well, don't be surprised if they go back to that tight end again as well. This time they're going to line him up on the right side on the trips to the right. Look for him to find a little bit of a seam. And they get to him and throw him down.
Moa on the sack.
Big tackle by Moa. Moa doing a great job up front. Not the first time I've called his name today. And this none bigger than the play made there. Now you probably kick the football after the sack, though.
Danielle Musso was trying to make a little bit of pressure coming off the right side, and he wasn't able to get it, but Mo came from the left, made the sack.
I want to say it was about an 11-yard loss. So it looks like we're 4th and goal from about the 18. So they'll line it up to kick to see if they can make it a 3-point ball game. The snap is good. The hold is good. The kick is up and good.
It's good.
Must have just snuck inside the upright there on the left side. So 4:42 left in the 3rd quarter on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. It's University of Montana Western 13, Carroll College Saints 10. We'll be back in 1 minute. From the Vidge, as Carroll will kick. Good kick for the Bulldogs anyway. Trey Mounts takes it, finds a couple of blocks, gets around to the outside, and you never like to see that as a returner when you look to the left and there's 3 guys in your face and a bunch of red in front of them, and he gets swallowed up. But still, I mean, got it all the way out to about the 29 where the Bulldogs will take over. It'll be 1st and 10. Wow. Sorry, I just looked at the Grizz score. It's not pretty.
Not looking very good against North Dakota State, is it?
Wow. So here comes the Bulldogs. Actually, the first offensive set with 4:37 left here in the 3rd quarter. He'll look to pass outside to Nate Simpkins. Good sure tackle, probably good for 3 or 4 yards.
Great play from John Jund. He had a defensive linebacker, it looks like, coming inside gap, untouched, makes the throw and takes the hit. Tough play for a quarterback.
Actually, I think it's UND they're playing. Not important, but I'm just saying. So you're probably going to look down the field a little bit. You've kind of got those out routes set. You've got a good job of that. Now you're running the football. He takes it over to the right side, so it's going to be a 3rd and probably 7. But you can't give up what you're good at and taking those shots, and I'm sure Coach won't. I'm just saying at one point you're going to take your shots down the field. You got a great receiving core. You got a big, strong-armed quarterback, and really they're starting to put more guys in the box, as you notice, as they're really kind of dinking and dunking a little bit. The footing's tough, so I'm sure that plays a factor as well. And so they're running an inside set, 1 to the right, 2 to the left. It's really a tight formation. In fact, they have about 8 guys in the box, throws it across. Oh, my. So
wow.
It misses the hands of 87, which would be Hunter. And then Walser comes up with the play.
Right over the middle, tip to the next receiver, and that's quite the play there. You don't
Huge break for the Bulldogs as it goes through Hunter's hands into Walser's hands. Maybe it was actually intended for Walser, and Hunter almost got in the way. Either way, big play, 1st down Bulldogs, as they have a 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Tight end lined up to the right side of the formation. 1 lone setback. They fake the handoff to him. They look down the field, and Nate Simpkins with the big play down to the 31. And it's almost like I have a direct mic to coach at this point, huh?
Yeah, it's starting to sound like it. I'm watching.
He throws a great strike down the middle to Nate Simpkins, but you got to use what you got. And he's got so many talented receivers and a big, strong-armed quarterback. And you got to use what's there. And Coach does a great job of really finding the matchup he's looking for. And it's 1st and 10 Bulldogs on the, about the 32-yard line. They run 2 to the right, 1 to the left, tight end on the left side of the formation. They're going to run the football. Gets a little bit of room there on the right side, a little bit of a push. And not an easy guy to take down. Even when they stack the box, Prantty still finds some way to kind of nudge himself in there. And really out of nothing, he got about 3 yards out of it, making it a 2nd and 7.
Always keeping those legs pumping. Prantty is a back that's going to go get those yards for you.
2 to the right, 1 to the left, tight end lined up on the left side of the formation. Prantty lined up the left side of John in the shotgun. They're running 2 deep safety, both of them over the slot. He fakes the handoff, drops back, has some time, goes to the middle, has a wide open receiver, knocked into the end zone. Oh, he calls it incomplete.
And
Nate Simpkins almost came up with a fantastic catch.
Simpkins falling back over the middle, almost the same route from the opposite side of the field. Had it in his hands, hit the ground, and just got it knocked out by the defensive player. And it looked like it was McBride Galt, number 18, who already has a pick 6 on the day, making a big-time play to stop the touchdown.
They're running trips to the left. They're putting Hunter, the tight end, to the right side of the formation, which tends to somewhat be open if he could sneak out to about where the sticks are. That might be a good play for them. And everything rotates right, so they're going to throw our left, so they're going to throw it that way. And then Walker McKittrick sighting. He's going to be close to, easy 1st down there for the Bulldogs. And that was well designed, too. They just didn't know what to cover at that point.
And John making some good throws on this drive after that little bit of luck right there to get the 1st down. He's made 3 good throws after that.
Well, you just love a quarterback that not only runs but looks upfield while he's running and then sets those feet, turns the shoulders, and delivers a strike. I mean, on just arm talent alone, he can make that play, but just did a great job of getting himself set to put himself in a good spot. They're going to run a man in motion to the right side. He's going to rotate out to the right side, has a little bit of time, does the smart thing, and just kind of throws it out of bounds. Kind of went towards the receiver, but he's getting rid of that football.
Nate McGree, number 45, we said his name a few times today. He is in on the pressure coming off the edge. He had 2 defenders right there just trying to make something happen. Good decision by John throwing it away.
So it's going to be a 2nd and 10 from the Carroll 19-yard line. Do you think that you give Karchenko a shot if something happens? I mean, granted, it's only 2nd down. I'm just foreshadowing. The wind's at your back.
I think you give Karchenko a shot. He's been a consistent
kicker. He's a heck of a kicker. To the right, to the left. Nice pickup.
What a throw. Goes off the tip of the hands. And it looks like they're going to call a late hit on Walker. It was number 2, Ryan Belu. And John just had to get rid of the ball. He had pressure. Walker tried to make a diving catch, tips the ball. When he hits the ground, Belu comes in trying to make a play, but he was already down and tackles him while he's on the ground. I think that's going to be the penalty.
Yeah, it looks like both of them were right there. Afterwards is where the flags drop. And he did throw it only his receiver could get. It was a little out of the reach, and Walker McKittrick, being the playmaker he is, tries to make the play. And so in the long run, actually, if we get the penalty here, he is going to make a play. And so that'll make it a 1st and goal for the Bulldogs, depending on where they spot this. Should get 15 on the personal foul, so it's going to be a 1st and goal just inside the 10. So it should be about the 9-yard line is what I gather. So, yeah, 1st and goal from the 9. 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Pranthe is the lone setback. No tight end on this one. So you have Simpkins and Walser here on the left side, and you got one-on-one to the outside with McKittrick, and then Trey Mounts on the inner side. And John's going to sneak through and go up the middle, bleeds it out to the right side. He's finally caught up to him. They just punished him.
And it's number 45 and number 18, 2 of their best defensive players, in to make a hard hit on Jund.
Yeah, McCree is he's kind of like Mighty Mouse. He's there, he's everywhere.
And I'm wondering, did they call that a targeting call on Belu, or is that just a late hit? Because it looks like he's out of the game now, and he's probably going to be out for the rest of the game if that's the case.
If it's the targeting, yeah, absolutely. And that's tough because it didn't look like it was an intentional, and a lot of times that's not the case. And they try it over the left side, and they're going to clog that up. Yeah, and if they're walking him out, that's game on.
Yeah, and it looks like Belu is getting walked off the field for targeting, and you never want to see that, but you also don't want to see people getting hurt.
So after 3 quarters of play on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard, the Bulldogs lead 13-10. They'll have a 3rd and goal when we return. We'll be back in 1 minute. My guess is Sage could hit from about 25 at least.
I don't know about that. Maybe there's nobody there, but probably not with the game on the line.
3rd and 5, or 3rd and goal from the 5. Pranthe's going to be your setback. He's lined up to the right side, tight formation. They fake the handoff, look to the end zone. Jund has time, throws it into the corner just out of McKittrick's reach, so it's going to be incomplete. And I think you bring in the kicker here. I think and they do.
And it looked like McKittrick was open coming across the middle, going towards the left corner end zone. He was waving for the ball, and Jund just sailed it a little bit out through him.
So Karchenko with chip shot for him. A little bit of wind to contend with, but not enough distance for it to really worry. And that's looks like it went right down the middle. So Karchenko knocks down the field goal to make it 16-10 Bulldogs. 14:52 left in the ball game. Bulldogs lead 16-10. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Battle of two defenses that both have it going today, and that's when you settle for field goals, and that's what they've had to do. Unfortunately, the missed field goal is really looming right now. We're up 16-10 where it could have been 17-10. Of course, they can't kick a field goal to tie it or win it, but they can score a touchdown, an extra point to win the ball game. 14:52 left. Really, Carroll's offense has had a little bit more oomph in this half. They took it for almost the whole entire third quarter. And so let's see what the University of Montana Western defense has as they kick it away to Carroll right now. It's going to be a short kick once again. They'll take it at about the 15. They go to the right side, looks for a little bit of room there. Finally drug down at about the 27, 28-yard line. I believe that to be number 9. It looked like was on the tackle. He's doing great on the special team side today. And that's Phoenix Ruffin.
Phoenix Ruffin, and he'll make plays whenever he gets the chance to be in the game. The up-and-coming running back, probably going to take Prante's position here in the next few years.
Out of Fruitland, Idaho. So it looks like they'll put a player in motion, and give is fake give, and then draw back, and then they'll throw it to Sipes. And really, it actually looked like Kyron Allen knocked it away from his safety.
And a little bit of a dangerous throw from Kilroy there. Threw it to the sideline, and it looked like he wanted to go out of bounds, but both the defensive backs able to get their hands or almost make the catch.
The redshirt freshman Prinz was back there. Looked like he had a pretty good opportunity, but then knocked away. But how do you tell one playmaker not to make a play? I guess communication is the only way to do that. And the give is to Major Ali over the left side. Finds a little bit of room to carve out across the 35 to the 36 and make it a manageable 3rd and 4.
Starting to look a little chilly out there, still right around 30 degrees. You see a lot of big purple coats on the Carroll sideline, and everybody with their hoods up in the stands.
Yeah, and they don't want to know how balmy it is in here.
Oh, yeah, I'm almost sweating right now.
Taking care of pretty well. Shout out to Casey as he takes good care of us. The Parrot Man can do it all. 3rd and 5 for Carroll. They're going to run trips to the right, tight ends on the right side of the formation. He falls down. And it's going to be a field sack. I'm not even sure anyone touched him to take credit for it yet.
Too bad, and that's not even on the bad side of the field, but that just goes to show what the conditions are like out here. And there's just chunks. Your cleats are picking up all kinds of mud. You never know when you're going to slip. We've seen him slip a few times, but he hasn't fallen yet. And
I think Musso will get credit for that sack. He was the nearest man in the area, so 4th and 11, and they'll punt away. And they've had some problems with that snap. Great job by the punter, really. And it looks like he was the regular punter, so even if he was hurt last time, at least it looks like he's healthy now. So Josh Kraft does a good job there. You never want to see a man get hurt. So 13:20 left in the ball game. Bulldogs with the possession as they lead 16-10. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Football action here from Vigilante Stadium. University of Montana Western holding serve as they're up 16-10. This could be a really good drive for us. We got 13:20 left in the ball game. Got a 6-point advantage. Even a drive and a field goal, as long as we use up a little bit of the clock, could really be helpful here.
Yeah, I think, if you can hold on to the ball, take some time off that clock, and at least get some points on the board to assure that they have to get a touchdown to make this a game, because right now that missed PAT is giving us little issues and
looming large. So you got 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Tight end looks like he's going to be on the left side of the formation. probably might come out running a little bit here too, just to get the clock going, maybe not let them pin their ears back quite as much in the secondary. They are set in more of a 4-2 as they have guys out. Walser gets it thrown to the side. Good coverage, actually. Unfortunately, he's going to get, I think, called for a penalty on Drew Melton, but it looked like he had pretty good coverage on it.
And I have to agree with you on that one. I mean, it's been a physical game from both sides of the ball, and I think, the way they were calling it earlier, you probably give that a no call, but,
That's the lesser end of what we've seen.
Looks like they're going to give Western a gift there, It's not Walser's birthday, but he got a gift today.
Right. So the Bulldogs will take over on the 49. It's going to be 1st and 10 on the penalty. And, I think when you get a player frustrated like that, you go right back to the play. One of two things will happen. He's either going to be frustrated, they're going to run the football, which isn't a bad move either. And there's where you get the horse just pushing. I mean, he out of nothing, he got 4 yards.
And I think you got to credit Prante for a lot of this fourth quarter success that the Bulldogs offense has had through this season. He is just constantly going and almost sometimes gets better throughout the later plays in the game.
So it's going to be about a 2nd and 5 from the 46. But yeah, I go right back to the same side that defensive back's on. A little frustrated on the call, and then you see what he's going to come up with, or if he's going to get more frustrated, if he's going to lay off a little bit. They're going to move Simpkins into the slot too, and they go kind of on an out route to the tight end.
And just kind of threw it away. There's 2 receivers. McKittrick was on a 10-yard out, and Colby Tamel, the tight end, on just a short out right at the line of scrimmage, and he threw it out of bounds kind of in between those two. Nobody really able to make a play on it.
So it's going to be a 3rd and 5 from the 39. Or, 46, my bad. Huge difference between the 39 and the 46 when it comes to field position, that's for sure. So 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Probably going to look around something on the out route, and they're going to screen it out to McKittrick, who lost his footing.
McKittrick looks like he probably could have got close to the first there on that screen. Not a lot of the screens have worked well for the Dogs today, but that one looked like it had some opening, and he tripped. And there's that grass right there again. He
had 2 guys in front of him ready to lead the charge. And it always is silly, or kind of funny a little bit, because the big guys aren't having problems with the traction. Mm-hmm. It's the little speedsters and the skid guys.
These white lines, they're tripping people up out here today.
And the kick is going to be a fair catch. A little pushing and shoving, getting a little testy.
Yeah, Carroll player getting hit by a defensive player from Western, knocking right into the guy that did the fair catch. Got lucky, no flag there.
Right. So they have it at about the 19, so it's going to be 1st and 10 Carroll from the 19. Still a lot of time here, 11:48 left. Like to see another turnover at this point, really put a staple in on things. Both offenses are playing like they're in the mud. Just a great job of both defenses of really just not really giving anything.
Mm-mm.
So you're going trips to the left. Running backs lined up on the right side of the formation, tight end on the right side as well. He's got a lone, and it's going to be an out route to Arnston. Kyron Allen did a great job really covering the tight end out of the backfield. He wasn't really having anything over there. And then so he hits Arnston or Farris, I should say, on the out.
And Farris, he's got one half of his body is completely mud. The other half is a nice white jersey, so you can see where the mud is coloring up both sides here.
So it's going to be a 2nd and 10 from the 19. 2 to the right, 1 to the left. 2 running backs in the backfield. Looks like mostly for coverage. And he's going to throw the out to number 16. And that's the running back, Ryan Arnson. So maybe got 2 out of that. So it's going to be a 3rd and 8. Good coverage. And a lot of the good coverage, oddly, well, I shouldn't say oddly, but a lot of the coverage coming from the linebackers.
Yeah, Carroll's had a lot of success in completions on those short outs, and they're just getting sniffed out right away to make a tackle.
So big 3rd and 8 here for Carroll as they look to move the football. And they're going to run 2 to the right. The tight end's on the right side of the formation. Wouldn't be surprised if he did something across the middle, being pointed out by the linebacking core. He's back to block, though. Good push by the D. They actually got a hand on it.
And it looks like they're going to call pass interference.
You can't call pass interference. It's the tip on that, though.
And I think the reason they're going to call that, looked like a comeback route, about 15 yards, and he was coming back to the sideline. Maybe it is. I thought that I saw the defensive back just grabbed the shirt a little bit, and anytime you see a defensive back pulling on shirt or anything like that, they almost always call that, even if it doesn't really displace.
Some of our worst penalties, too, have been on that 3rd down.
Mm-hmm.
And that really didn't have he didn't have much of a chance of that. I mean, it would have taken a great diving play that it was. And, instead it's going to be a 1st down for Carroll at the 35. They're going to run 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Ollie lined up to the right side of the formation. It's almost like a wildcat again. They're going to put Arnson in formation, and then they're going to run it with the tight end. He's not going anywhere, though. It's almost like they said, look, we've seen that, so we're not really afraid.
Yeah, you haven't seen hardly any long run plays from this Carroll offense today. I think the longest maybe 6-7 yards.
Now it's going to be a 2nd and 9 for the Saints. So they have the ball on about the 36-yard line. It'll be a 2nd and 9. 10:21 left in the ball game. Bulldogs up 16-10 on what's been a battle on both sides. Really, the defenses have done a great job. Trips to the left. Kaloy steps back, goes to step up in the pocket, slips, and then...
And Daniel Musso on the
another
sack.
Flag on the play. Musso is looking for his first Dairy Queen player of the game.
And he is
They're going to decline it on the hold. Musso having himself a day, son.
With a blocker on his back, he comes through, gets one arm on the quarterback, bumps him a little bit, and then finishes the sack.
So it's going to be a 3rd and, let's see, it's back to the 30, so we're looking about a 3rd and 15. Time for this Bulldog crowd to make some noise. Big play here, 3rd and 15 for Carroll. Ball on the 30-yard line. We're just under 10 minutes now here in the ball game. Just a 6-point advantage for the Bulldogs. It'd be a great time to get a stop here. And they're bringing a little bit of heat. And it gets batted down. I almost thought he had it. Thought it was Farris to the house. They're familiar with the Farris pick. And so they're going to punt it away, 4th and 15 from the 30. Should be able to get halfway decent field position as well. So it's going to be 4th down Saints. They're going to kick it away. And they have a pretty good kicking game, though, even though, the snap has been all over the place. But Josh Kraft has done a great job of really doing what he can.
Yeah, it would be nice if he could kick this and put the Bulldogs in bad territory.
And actually, it was Matt Kvesh, so actually maybe he is hurt. Haven't seen him come back out there. That's Kraft punting. And you wonder why he's not punting all the time, though. He has a boomer of a leg. And it lists him at 5'11", 170. Now, I could be wrong, but he looks like he's a little more filled out than 170.
Yeah, he's definitely thick, and he's got the big old legs.
Thicker legs.
Mm-hmm.
And a false start will push him back 5 more, so it'll be a 4th and 20. They'll be kicking from the 25. And he gets another boomer, though, high, and both of them want to catch it, and they end up getting it right at the 30, so.
A little bit of a scary recovery right there. They were both right there catching the punt.
9:37 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. Bulldogs lead 16-10. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Almost seems like they always give that extra timeout when we take one and come back to it. But give us a great opportunity here. I mean, set up the next 9 minutes, 37 seconds. Really would like to see a little bit more ball control on this particular drive. I mean, we got a good run. We're letting the clock go. Then we have an incomplete pass, punt. I mean, what do we use? 48 seconds, a minute, maybe at the most, last possession?
Yeah, you'd like to get to your consistent plays, get 5 or 6 yards of play. Just keep getting first downs, keep taking that clock.
Well, and typically with the perfect field, Coach does a great job of really those short pass plays and screens, but getting those cuts right now are kind of tough. So, I mean, maybe you pound the football at least the first 2 runs and see what you get from there and then try it. But, you know, it's kind of tough. Your play calling changes with the field being as slippery as it is. And usually this is when we make things happen here in the fourth quarter, and Coach has been doing it all year. Let's see what he's got for us here as he gives the ball to the right side to Prantty. And Prantty on cue charges it out, but they're calling penalties on everything right now. So it sounds like it's going to be a hold on the Bulldogs. So it went from kind of a semi-clean game to penalty.
There's been a lot of penalties here in the second half.
So it's going to be a hold there. So what really was a nice run is going to bring the ball back, and they're kind of be in a bad spot where we're going to have to pass again. So it should bring it back to about the 22 or so. So 1st and 18. About 18, right? Yeah, it looks like about a 1st and 18 from the 23. So 2 to the right, 1 to the left, tight end on the left side of the formation. Jonah back to pass. He's going to hit it out to Simpkins. That's going to be a short pass route. Maybe good for about 3. So that'll make it 2nd and 15. More importantly, clock going at this point.
Stays in bounds.
And that's definitely a sure hand play. Nice little curl or something like that to Simpkins. You're going to hit that most days. I mean, so you're going trips to the left, 1 to the right, or 2 to the right, empty backfield. Jonah back to pass. And it's getting a little bit of pressure. Goes up the middle and gets dropped almost so that it's going to come up as a sack as he almost gets back to the line of scrimmage. But I think they're going to probably credit that with the sack.
Bo Meyer coming in and making the tackle, finishing up the sack. Defensive tackle, 6'2", 275, senior out of Boise, Idaho.
6'7", it says. 6'7". Oh, I'm going off the 2-player deep.
Oh, okay, yeah. This one's a little bit different on the
other gotcha. I'm like, he doesn't look 6'7". I thought you were definitely close. They set up the screenplay to the right. It's got a little bit of room, and he's going to at least make it manageable. But I think Prantty got to about the 40. He needed to get to the 42. So at this point, you got to kick it away.
Give it back to the defense.
They did do a halfway decent job of using some clock, though. I mean, all credit where credit's due, even with the penalty. I mean, now we're at 7:20 or 7:34. You let the clock run down a little bit and kick it. You know, you're looking at almost 7 minutes left with your defense having the football at that point. That was actually well designed, set up pretty well. And Karchenko with kind of a wobbler off, and it's going to take a Bulldog bounce. Finally touched, though, by Farris at about the 23. So it'll be 1st and 10 Carroll from the 23. Bulldogs lead 16-10, 7:12 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Carroll with 2 to the left, 1 to the right, 2 running backs, and one of them being the tight end, kind of lined up in the fullback position. And it looks like it almost got picked. And Markello comes up with the pick. And they're saying it's a catch.
Wow.
So I think it was Kieran Allen first, and then Martello, being Johnny on the spot, comes up with another big fourth quarter play. And when you have a 6-year senior that loves football as much as Martello, those are the kind of plays you get out of it.
Spectacular interception, bang, bang play. I couldn't even really see
Young
it.
man didn't have to come back here and play football, but came back for the love of the game and really just didn't want to kick himself, saying, I still have something in the tank. I mean, and after you do a rehab like that, you want to get paid for it. And the pay is playing like that, making a huge play. That could be a big turning point here. All of a sudden, the Bulldogs now have it on the 39, 1st and 10. And the defense really takes care of itself. Kieran Allen made the first original play, but Martello really in a follow position makes the play as he comes up with the pick. And that'll put people 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Single set. I was going to say it's McKittrick.
Touchdown, Bulldogs.
Well, and you kind of said earlier, they baited that play earlier, and they got it this time. He ran it in and then busted it out. Just burned his guy in coverage, Isaiah King.
Wide open over the middle. Great throw from John Jund. And can't say enough about the leader of this team, Riley Martello.
Well, and that's why you're a good fourth quarter team. You make big plays like that, and then you make them pay. 22-10 lined up for the point after. And I couldn't imagine this defense giving up 13 and 6:56, but we'll see. Hold is good. The kick is good. And the Bulldogs now lead 23-10 with 6:56 left in the ballgame. We'll be back in 1 minute. Back to live football action. What a turn of events. And just like that, it turns on a dime.
In 2 plays, there's another score from Montana Western, and the interception, never seen anything like it.
Well, and that's why you play to the whistle, right? And the returns around the right side. It's got a little bit of room as he gets it out to about the 30. So it's going to be a 1st and 10 for Carroll. And really, they've done a good job of putting pressure on them a lot more here since they took so long in the third, really forcing the issue, and that's what it turns out to. Couldn't imagine really even having the time to run the football at this point if you're the Carroll College Saints.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to get to that rollout throwing that they've been doing, and it looks like, I'm not sure, they might have Hunter Bledsoe back in at quarterback.
So 2 to the right, 1 to the left, dropping back to pass. Looks like it's going to be a long route. And he's looking to scramble, but it's going to be a sack because he didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. That, if it was, unfortunately, the freshman made a bad read out of that, but I think you're right. I do think they carted Bledsoe back out there.
And Bledsoe probably with the stronger arm, more of a true quarterback, but you saw that Colby Killoy was using his feet a lot better than Bledsoe.
And he made a lot of really good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And really the pick that, I don't know if it's the pick that even pulled him, but not really his fault on that.
No.
Just a good play all around.
Mm-hmm.
And Bledsoe looking, goes to his third read, throws a pick to Jason Farris. Farris back to the 20, looking to be an offensive player as he shoves a few people down. And they still can't tackle him. He finally gets out of bounds at about the 12. And Weapon X has done it again.
And there is, if he gets the chance to sit back in coverage and watch plays happen. He has just too much knowledge on other teams' offense, and here he is showing that off right there with the interception.
And I would have to say, I think a touchdown here would seal it. We're already up 13 with 5:52 left, and the defense has been just on point. But it'd be even a taller challenge if they had to come back from 3 scores at that point. We're going to go Pranty to the left, one receiver to the left, 2 to the right, tight ends on the left side of the formation. And you got to believe maybe you run the football a little bit here, and they are with the kind of a quarterback sweep on John. And he doesn't go down either. They try to force him out, but he probably lost a yard on the carry. And winter has hit Dillon early as usual.
Yeah, early.
It was weird to wake up and have all that snow on the ground. What did we get, about a little over 3 inches or something like that?
Yeah, and I don't think it started till about 5 a.m. or, 4 or 5.
Field crew did a great job really getting this field ready because it looks good. I mean, it's a little slick and all, but considering how quickly we got it, they did a great job on it. And they're going to roll out to the right, looking into the end zone. Comes up with the pass, and probably knocked them out at about the 1. Was that McKittrick again, I think?
I think it was McKittrick.
They have a pretty good chemistry going for the two of them at this point. 5:05 left. Bulldogs will have it first and goal from about the 2. Good area for a quarterback keeper, huh?
And
he's going to find room in.
There you are, talking down to the coach again, and I think he's going to get in there. It's going to be close.
Touchdown. Looked like it took him a while. I mean, from up here, we could even be like, oh, looked like he got into me. But definitely good to be sure and then not backtrack. It's not to have replay here in the Frontier Conference. But a great job by John with his second rushing touchdown. So he's thrown 1, now run for 2. So great job of really says a lot about your quarterback as well when he plays better in the fourth quarter than any other quarter. And he just really has the poise of an upperclassman as a freshman here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you could tell that he has that uncanny ability to just the grit, late in games. He wants the ball inside the 10. He wants to run it in. He wants to be that player.
Big moments find big people. And when you're ready for it, guys take advantage, and he's done just that this year, this quarter, this game. So he's done a great job, really, as a true freshman of getting her done. So 30-10, 4:46 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard. We'll be back in 1 minute. And welcome back to live football action as the Bulldogs set to kick off. And I'm not exactly sure. And he kicks a squibber to about the 35. Tight end's going to bring it back to about the 40, 41. I'm not sure how they talked Farris into taking a breather. He wasn't on the kickoff team for the first time. I mean, you put a lot of work in, young man. You can take a little bit of a breather.
Wants to be in on every single play, and he almost is on the defensive end.
He has a pick, almost gets to the house, still can't tackle him. Team goes in to score, and then on kickoff, they're like, you know what, why don't you just sit this one out? We got plenty of guys here. Mm-hmm. What a great job. Fun to watch the young man play football. And they're going to go with the run to Arnston down the left side. Not really much room to go as he's wrapped up by, it looks like it's Jason Farris. So Farris on the tackle. If you got anything, it's maybe the football length that he reached forward. So it'll bring up a 2nd and 9. And they're in no hurry, so they're just pretty much working on an offense now at this point. And it looks like this time they're going to bring Colby Calloy back out. So, I mean, you have 4:05 left. You're down 30-10, and they're not even in the hurry up at this point. So 2 to the left, 1 to the right. You have the tight end in the backfield with Ali, and they're going to rotate out to the right side. And he's going to throw it high, but I think it's out of bounds.
Big 6'5" receiver. I think you're right. They're going to call that out of bounds, no catch.
So it's going to be a 3rd and 9. So you probably bring your nickel out. Yeah, you do. So 3rd and 9 for the Saints. 3:50 left on the Intermountain Irrigation scoreboard on the incompletion. Bulldogs lead by 20, 30-10. And it would sure seem weird if they didn't score in the 4th quarter, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the snap's back, and they almost got to him, but able to step up in the pocket and get a strike all the way down to the 40 after the run after catch by Joe Farris. So it's going to be a Carroll first down.
Joe Farris has had a pretty good day. He had the most catches coming into the half, and he's had almost just as many in the second half.
It just seems like Colby Calloy is a little more poised. I mean, I can definitely see the talent in Bledsoe, and I certainly wouldn't second-guess a Hall of Fame coach. But it seems like he just has a little bit better command of the offense, at least today. And so he steps back, looking to keeping those feet moving. And then he throws a not very good ball when his guy's wide open.
Yeah, right to the inside, which kind of gave Janice, the defender, an advantage, and he's able to get in and knock that down. But, you got a 6'5" receiver out there.
Against the 5'9" corner.
You might want to throw that baby a little higher.
Well, and it looks like we've kind of moved into more of a prevent almost a little bit here on the outsides.
Yeah, you know you're going to have to pass the ball. You're down big, and it's tough for a quarterback to come in with that situation.
So 2 to the left, 2 to the right. Ali is the lone setback. Takes snap, drops back pass, a little bit of push off the right side, steps up, loads up, and then comes up empty. Must have got hit or tipped when he threw that, because it was definitely a duck out of his hand.
See Smith coming out of the backfield, and I think you're right. He got his hand on the ball when he was letting go.
A couple of hunters in the duck blinds got outshot the football. It was that bad.
Yeah, I could hear that duck when he was right in the middle.
It was quacking.
That looks like more of a ball that I would throw. I don't know if I can kick, but
there you go. Well, unfortunately, the guy at halftime had to throw it 30 yards with a Nerf ball in the wind into the back of the brand new Chevy truck. Carl Tyler Beaverhead Motors as the sponsor of the game, and so that'd been interesting. We need to try that maybe. He's going to throw deep. He's got a man,
and he makes the
all
catch.
The way down to the 5.
It's like he went to number 14, Troy Arnston, a wide receiver, 5'8", 170, hometown boy out of Helena.
The Helena product.
Looked like he was going to drop that and just able to squeeze it in after he made the catch.
So it's going to be a 1st and goal from about the 6 for Carroll. And, yeah, I mean, that's where, sometimes prevent hurts you a little bit. You run a little bit of a prevent D there.
Yeah, it gives the opening just right underneath where you can just make the tackle.
And they take it to the outside to Ali, and it's red and drop. They just strung him out, and then finished it off.
Denzel Moe with the first contact coming off the edge kind of made him trip up a little bit, and then the linebackers coming in to make the tackle.
The D-line has played fantastic today. The linebackers always do. They make a lot of big plays. They get all the fancy numbers, but really the defensive line's done a great job of keeping those linebackers clean to be able to make those plays. So they're going to run trips to the left, 1 to the right. 1 lone setback looks to be Major Ali. It's a 2nd and goal from about the 9-yard line for Carroll. And dropping back to pass. A little bit of heat. Got a good clean pocket.
Almost
picked off by Farris, but then almost caught by Farris and gets knocked out of bounds.
Tipped
or
off,
Shane Sipes, I guess.
off Farris' hands and almost Shane Sipes for the touchdown. That one probably was going to go to the house too if he got his hands off of it.
3rd and 9. God, that'd be quite the run, though. Huh? That would have been about a 99-yard run.
Yeah.
No, you certainly could do it, but you almost want to get caught at that point. You're like, okay. But then again, what's nice to brag about a 99-yard pick return? Definitely making them earn it still, using clock as the defense.
Ball down.
And the ball got pulled free, and I think the Bulldogs are going to end up with the football again.
And this Bulldog defense, looks like it was one of the defensive linemen, maybe Denzel Moa coming off the edge.
I think it was Denzel Moa.
His quarterback, he was looking to pass. Defensive lineman reaches in and knocks that ball down. It's like a little bit like the Khalil Mack on Sunday, you know, tipping those balls down from the quarterbacks, causing turnovers. There's that Bulldog defense.
And defensive line doing it again. I mean, they've really be interested to see some of these stats. I think we might have a Dairy Queen player of the game coming from the line. I don't know. I'm guessing the Farris game is going to be hard to get away from too.
No kidding.
So it's 30-10, 128 left. Everything but stats to gain at this point. And they run it out to about the 20-yard line. Believe it to be Pranty on the carry. So probably got about 3 out of it. We'll call it a 2nd and 7. We'll give him 4. 2nd and 6. I don't know what the stat guy gave him, but we'll give him 4. 2nd and 6 from about the 20.
Looks like they're lining up in a victory formation. We'll let this play clock run down.
5, 4, 3. Carroll's not going to call the timeout. It's even. The play clock and the game clock are even. You don't see that too often.
No, you don't see that very often.
So they're going to take one more kneel just for good measure. And that'll do it. Bulldogs come away with the victory. Bulldogs win again, 30-10. We'll be back in 3 minutes for the Papa T's post-game show. We'll be back in 3 minutes. here from Vigilante Stadium. University of Montana Western coming up with another big victory, and looking ahead, they got 2 huge games coming up as well. You have